I'll tell you what, man, that was one of the greatest environments I've ever seen last night, in sports is what I saw at Madison Square Garden last night. That was pretty dope, dude. I mean, seeing all those folks at the Garden and seeing those guys all having a great time, all the celebrities too that we saw, I mean, that was one of the greatest environments I've seen in sports in a long time, especially in that building. Madison Square Garden hasn't seen an event like that. I think Ali Frazier. I mean, you've got great concerts that go in there. Wrestling goes into that place. You got conventions all the time in there, but that and then here's something else that was wild. All of my friends who were like outside the arena and they get a chance to go into the arena, they're all at these New York bars. And they all had these like junior watch parties, all there in Manhattan, Midtown, and all them other places. Down like Grand Central too was packed with people, all the bars watching the Knicks game. One of the coolest things, again, about sports is that it can bring people together. And it did. So usually in New York, you have these jerseys, Carmelo Anthony jerseys, Patrick Ewing jerseys, Walt Frazier. You'll see. Now you're seeing Jalen Brunson jerseys. I mean, that's good shit, man. And the NBA needed that. They traditionally don't have these kind of nights. You're going to get north of 25 million people watching that. That's going to be one of the most viewed events in the last 35 years when it comes to basketball. Like maybe since Jordan played. Maybe Jordan and Utah, Bulls in Utah, the final series against the Jazz. Something like that, man. You're going to see monster numbers. I mean, that was pretty dope last night. By the way, don't forget, too, tonight is Game 4, NHL Stanley Cup Finals. That thing's been insane. Dude, it's all good. Appreciate everybody coming aboard. By the way, we are working on Coach Jason Brown today, either today or maybe Thursday. So I'll give you an update on that. The other Jason Cole will join us at 5:30. Zander will join us at 3:30, pending what Coach Jason Brown does. So hopefully we can get Coach on. Coach, the only reason he's not coming on is because where he is right now, he's having some internet issues in California. So we'll see what's up with him. Hopefully we can get him on the program. Wow, Sills, AJ really went to our facility and said, greatest Eagle ever. Can't bro read the room? Holy smokes, AJ really burned his bridge with us. Sad. AJ went to our facility and said, greatest Eagle ever. I'm not sure what you're saying, Leon. Is he calling himself the greatest Eagle ever? Can bro read a room? Holy smokes. AJ really burned his bridge. Okay? With us. Leon, is he calling himself the greatest Eagle of all time? More so than Reggie White? Yeah, he went back to the facility. So AJ went back into the facility? Huh. He called himself the greatest Eagle. Is that right? Sills, he wrote in a poster in the facility, greatest Eagle ever. He did, Sills. He didn't do that. Yes, he went back into the facility this past week, and he wrote on a poster, he's the greatest Eagle of all time. Yeah, here, let me put the Mount Rushmore of Eagles in my book. Okay? Hey, and by the way, the best thing that Eagle fans can do, don't give that any water. Don't give that shit any legs. I wouldn't give that any legs. I just give him a laugh. I would send an emoji back at that guy because now what he's doing, and by the way, may I make a statement to you guys here on June 9th? He's going to be doing everything to get under your skin. the entire year. You know how you aggravate A.J. Brown? You ignore him. Just ignore him. Once you ignore him, he's gonna be more aggravated. And then he's going to expose himself more when you ignore him. Greatest Eagle to ever do it is what he said. Hold on for a second. Greatest Eagle to ever do it. A.J. Brown. Wow, that takes some stones. Yet he's complaining to Zander about a 30-minute timeout. Let's see here. Exactly, because he's a narcissist. So here, don't give it any legs. That's all guys do is talk about AJ. I talk about AJ and him not being on the team. AJ Brown's impact not being there with Devontae. Not whether or not he's the greatest Eagle of all time. You've never heard me fucking even bring that up because that's a joke. AJ looking for the heel heat in wrestling. Here would be my 4 Eagles. Reggie White is the greatest to ever do it in an Eagle uniform. Reggie White, Chuck Bednarik, Brian Dawkins, would I put Lane there? Who? Jerome. Ugh. I can't put Jerome because Jerome played 4 or 5 years. Okay. I'd love to put Jerome there. Nick then took a shot at AJ at the end of his presser. Hold on, Kim. I hope to God that Mitchell or Woolen get a pick off May while smothering Brown in joint practice. Get the crying in early for him. Now, wait a minute. Can A.J. Brown make a statement on being the greatest wide receiver Eagle ever? Name me an Eagle wide receiver that's done more than him. Who? Mike Quick? Terrell Owens was there 1 year. He didn't win like AJ. Name me a better wide receiver with more impact and more wins. The guy's 50-18 in 4 years. Left eye burned down Andre Rison. He didn't play in Philly. He played in Atlanta. We know Andre, too, very well, by the way. Deshaun Jackson is not in his league. He's not more accomplished than A.J. Brown. T.O.'s not more accomplished than A.J. Brown. He's not. Reggie White, Brian Dawkins, Jason Peters, and Jason Kelsey for Calvin. Okay? Here, and like you said, the numbers speak for themselves too. Let's go take a look at it here. He's won and put the numbers up. He's done both. A.J. Brown. How about this? We look at a all-time wide receiver Eagle history. Can he make a comment? Can he make a statement for it? Here's receiving yards. A.J. Brown's 9th all-time. He played from 22 to 25. He's got more. He's in 4 years. He's got 5,000 receiving yards in pro football in the Eagle history. Mike Quick's got 64. Mike played 12 years. Ratzlaff played 10 years with 7,400. Carmichael played from 71 to 83. I believe that's 12 years for 89.78. Touchdowns. Yeah, because those guys only played longer. Tommy McDonald obviously is on that list. Different NFL back then. Get this. Smitty is better than him, Sills. Cut it out. Smitty's better than him? Smitty's never done dick next to him. Like what? Never made a Pro Bowl? He hasn't even made a Pro Bowl yet, guy. And he's the number 2. How could he be better than him when he was never the prime target in your offense? We actually have a topic with that. I mean, dude, wait a second. He was never a prime target. That's not a lie. He was the number 2 receiver in that offense. Oh, I know. Look at Flexen changing the narrative because AJ's not here anymore. All of a sudden, Devontae's better. What a joke. Holy shit. Flexen is one of those guys that changes the narrative because his boy is no longer here, and now Devontae is number 1. Yeah, okay, guy. Yeah, okay. White, Dawkins, McCoy, and Kelsey. Okay. So Flexing is now going like this. Look. I never cared for it. Oh, my God. Now he never cared for him. Man. Look at the playoff stats and keep yapping. Yeah, okay. You're right. Devontae Smith in the 2-hole has been better than A.J. Brown. It's the stupidest thing anybody could say in here. You're out of your mind. We're going to find out, dude. Does the A.J. Glaze ever end? He's gone, bro. Can we talk? The guy's just brought something up that he walked into the... Dude, you don't like it? Go somewhere else. Ask the chat. Yeah, you're right. Ask Philly fans who's better now. Devontae Smith or A.J. Brown. You're an idiot. Been listening for a few weeks now. Don't add to chat. This chat does not keep it real. Speak out your feelings and emotions. Zero actual facts. These guys think that Devontae Smith has been the best wide receiver in Philly for the last 4 years with A.J. Brown in the building is absurd. It's like saying T. Higgins is better than Jamar Chase. No shit. How absurd can you get? It's a moron take. AJ is such a little girl for that. Let next season show it. Don't give one last fuck you to the staff. You mad I tell the truth while you lie? Okay, I'm lying. He's telling the truth. Devontae Smith's better. Yeah, okay, well, then I'm going to lie all day about it. Yeah, that's why he makes fucking $20 million and that guy's making 32 because he's the primary target. Yeah, right. I got it now. Oh, yeah, he's the better guy because one guy makes almost twice as much money than him, but he's the better guy. I'm sorry, Nick. I apologize. AJ became a nuisance. You're still goofy as a coach, but you're all right. Dude, whatever, man. Thanks for the super. I'm not even going to respond to it. You're killing him, Sells. He's dumb. You see this right here? This is a guy that lives in denial. And because this guy's, is throwing shade on his team, he's now going to come up with some sort of bullshit saying that Devontae Smith is a better player than A.J. Brown. Hey, and by the way, I told you who A.J. Brown was 4 years ago. Why do you think I was calling him A.J. Owens for? How stupid are you? A.J. got a lot of balls doing that and going back to the facility. I think so too. I think that took a lot of nuggets. A river in Egypt. That guy lives in denial, doesn't he? Flexen lives in denial. Totally lives in denial. Like, here, let's see. Let's go here. Let's see. Best NFL wide receivers 2026. Let's see here. Okay, let's just look at the list. Who does PFF have? Who do they rank? Let's see here. Okay, so they got Puka. I think they got Puka Nacua number 1. Right? They got Puka number 1. I think they got Chase number 2. JSN. A.J. Brown's on this list. Funny, I see him like 13th. Devontae Smith. You know why Devontae Smith's 13th? Because he's a 2. How stupid are you? Be prepared not to go to the Super Bowl. This could be at best a divisional playoff team, that is. Okay? What took balls? He wasn't in danger. I'm confused. He signed a poster. Tough guy. Yo, tough guy. A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith ain't got nothing on Kevin Curtis, greatest Eagle wide receiver of all time. Okay? Smitty without A.J. averages 65 yards a game. A.J. without Smitty averages 88 yards a game. Really? Use your eyeballs. The only reason Smitty was 2 is because A.J. would have cried constantly if he was labeled number 2. He doesn't have to be labeled number 2. His paycheck says he's number 1. Dude, what you're talking about is fantasy talk. Look at the paycheck. That'll tell you who's number 1. So let me get this right. The number 2 wide receiver in Philadelphia all these years is the highest paid guy and not Devontae. A.J. Brown recorded a double team rate of 48.8, which ranks the second highest among all wide receivers in the NFL. And by the way, Devontae Smith, there's not even a stat for him on getting double teams last year. We'll see how well. John says he's not concerned about that. How could you not be concerned about a guy who never gets doubled? How could you not be concerned about that? He's never been double teamed. In his entire career, he's never been doubled. Smitty isn't better. I can agree, but the book isn't. No. That's a fair comment, Twiz. Twiz, he's going to get the opportunity. Yeah, I'm all right with that take, Twiz. That's what I thought. Still said, AJ's better, not that you liked him. Yeah, AJ's better. I never said that I liked him. I actually called him AJ Owens the entire time. You were the one. You see guys like this? You were the ones, and guys like this were the ones that were telling me I didn't understand him. I understood him perfectly. Why are you picking on him? Calling him AJ Owens. I'm like, because I know who the player is. You guys were the ones that are now finding out who he is. Smith is like A little boy body. We'll see. Let's see here. Big Sills, you think Hurts and Saquon running the ball will open up the passing game? What happened last year? Anthony, what happened last year? Sills, if the pay wasn't hush money, what's the other thing they did to please AJ? Seems like, dude, if you pay a guy $32 million and the other guy $20 million, and you called the $20 million guy your number one wideout, that means you're calling Howie Roseman a stupid ass for paying the wrong guy. By the way, this is all going to play out. You're either going to have a great year or you're going to have a dog shit year. And your passing game is going to blow or it's going to be great. We're going to find out. That's the beauty of conversation in what we're doing here. But somebody's going to be wrong. And this is how we do our show. Called accountability. Someone will be right. Someone will be wrong. Better get all your takes in now. By the way, I told you, usually I kind of change my take prior to going into the year. Maybe a couple wins up and down. I'm not moving off of 8 wins. Seals, do you see the O-line improving a little? It was also documented that Smitty took less to help the team, unlike AJ. Really? So he took the less. How come Hurts didn't? Hurts was the highest paid guy in the league at the time. He didn't help the fucking team. It was a stupid deal by his agent. Now he's even under market value for it too. I mean, end of the day, how come Hurts didn't take pay cut? Hurts got the top money at the time. He was the highest paid player in the league. I don't remember Lane Johnson taking pay cuts for the team. I don't remember Mulata taking pay cuts for the team. I don't remember Landon taking pay cuts for the team. He took pay cut to help the team. There's not one fucking player on that team that took a pay cut to help the team. It's a stupid deal. His contract helped the team. He's the only guy. Hey, well then spit. Why doesn't Jalen Carter, you think Jalen Carter's going to take a pay cut? So you think Jalen Carter's going to take a pay cut to help the fucking team? Making a fool of myself? You're the one making a fool of yourself, dude, calling Devontae better than AJ. Nobody in their right mind believes that, but you numbnuts. Dude, what a stupid ass. What was AJ double team last year? Look at this guy even fighting the fact that he had the second highest rated when it came to being doubled. Okay? I went and did some research on Chris Cooper, Stout's replacement. In his 4 years, the Vikings O-line. This is a great take. Here's your replacement for Jeff Stoutland. The Vikings O-line ranked 28th, 18th, 24th, and 29th. 0 All-Pros and was top 10 in sacks given up every year. That's the dude that's replacing Jeff Stoutland? That's the guy replacing Jeff Stoutland? Hey, Bald Bear. That's the guy replacing Jeff Stoutland? That dude right there? Where in God's name do you see success? Like, where do you see? 28th, 18th, 24th, to 29th. That's the rankings of the O-line under Chris Cooper in Minnesota. And get this, and we're top 10 in giving up sacks. I may have to revamp my entire win total to 7. Hey, show a great pull, Ball Bear. Holy cow. Look at that number. How'd you get the job? So this dude that's taking over for a guy going to Canton is 28th, 18th, 24th, and 29th. Hell, let me see in a bad year. What was the Eagle O-line ranked in 2025? What was the Eagles O-line ranked in 2025? Jeff Stoutland's worst year as an Eagle O-line coach. They were ranked 7th. So wait a minute. So in 2025, Stoutland's O-line was ranked 7th. What were they in 24? They were 1st. What were they in 23? Another down year. They were 1st. What were they in 22? They were 1st. So in the last 4 years, Jeff Stoutland's O-line was ranked in 22 1st, 23 1st, 24 1st, and 25th 7th. And Chris Cooper in the last 4 years is ranked 28th, 18th, 24th, and 29th. Solid. I got to write this down. Good pull, brother. Hold on for a second. 28th, 18th, 24th, and 29th. Last 4 years. That's the guy replacing Jeff Stoutland. I was shocked we had 26 different O-line combinations. It's a miracle we finished 9-8 about the Vikings in 25. Stoutland was another crutch up for Hurts deficiencies. Was fucking, whatchamacallit, getting rid of Stout. Get this. So the guy has shown no success at all whatsoever in the last 4 years as an offensive line coach. You replace a guy who 3 of the last 4 years had the number 1 unit and was 7th in his worst year. You think that means nothing. Okay. The guy, how did he get the job? How did that guy get the job? It wasn't based on results. How did he get the job? How did that guy get the job? What, because somebody said he's a good dude? Only delusional fans will say it doesn't mean nothing. Okay. Let's see here. So get this. Lane Johnson, Mailata, and Dickerson. So here, let's put this out there. There's only one fucking first-round draft choice on the Eagle O-line when Stoutland was here. Only one in the last 4 years. And that's Lane, and he never drafted him. Mailata was a 7th rounder. Dickerson was a 2nd rounder. Cam was a 2nd rounder. And Beckham was a free agent. They moved from tackle to guard. And made him a Pro Bowler. Are you kidding me, guy? Seals wanted the Eagles to hire a Hall of Fame O-line coach. What? Lurie doesn't have a track record of having a good O-line. Always with the negative angle instead of looking at body of work in history. I just looked at his body of work. 28, 18, 24 to 29th. That is his body of work. What are you talking about? Oh, my God. You mean to tell me you think because a guy was bad somewhere else, he's going to be good in Philly? Dude, you guys are fucking delusional, man. I can't believe you actually watch the same game I do. We are not on the same page. Okay? We are clearly not. 2020, Philadelphia Eagle offensive line was decimated by injuries, forcing the team to use a staggering 14 different offensive line combinations. Let's take a look at that. That was a horrible year for the Eagles. And with all those combinations, they were still ranked 15th. I'm not going to that guy anymore. He's stupid. Anybody who says Devontae Smith's a better wide receiver than A.J. Brown today is stupid. He's just stupid. Becton was trash before he came to Philly. Totally, man. The guy was a free agent, and the Jets had given up on him. Here. Still's talking shit about the Eagle O-line coach. 28th, 18th, 24th to 29th, the last 4 years. Okay, maybe you want to talk highly of that. I'm not finishing the reading of that shit either. Not happening. Seals, to win the argument over, there's no argument. Read their evaluation report coming out of college. AJ's bigger, more aggressive receiver than Smitty. And he'll always be. He's a better player. AJ is a better player. Smitty is more refined and polished than AJ. AJ beats you on ability and strength and yak and all of that. He's an imposing player. Smitty's not an imposing player. When I think of physicality, I don't think of Smith. I don't think of Devontae Smith with physicality. AJ, I do. There's no conversation on it. I'm not having one. So how do you think he got the job, in your opinion, or why? I think that he got the job because he was recommended by guys at the 22nd hour. I think he was one of those guys that was thrown into the mix. That's how he got the job. If you remember right. I mean, and by the way, so I heard the guys today on Bird 365. So Sean Mannion is really not going to change much except for cosmetics. How in God's name is you're looking at him as some sort of savant and the smartest guy in the building, according to Jordan Mailata. By what? Putting motion in? Putting the quarterback under center? That's some sort of epiphany that you're having that's going to change your offense by putting a guy under center and motion to make it look different than the shit you're doing now? What's so smart about that? From Vic and also with Mannion, maybe they see how bad the Vikings line was, that this one he worked well with. I think that's probably the only reason. Sean said that we're better off keeping the risk-averse playbook and Lurie forcing Sirianni to call his offense this year. So, according to John, they're not going to do anything, even though they went and drafted 2 players, one in the first round, they traded up, and the second pick was a receiver, and they signed a free agent. And they're going to do the same shit. All right. And they lost AJ. And they signed a lesser O-line coach. Every other analyst or pundit covering the team says it's a complete revamp. I'm with that, Rasputin. I'm with you. I think the personnel itself tells you what they're doing. Why in God's name would you give a guy $14 million in Dontavian Wicks and then use a first-round pick on a wideout and not an O-lineman? If they were going to run the ball more this year, why wouldn't you have gone O-line instead of wideout? Doesn't a first-round O-lineman make more sense than a first-round wideout if you're going to change or not change? I don't know what they're doing. What did the Vikings have? Okay, well, get this. So here's what the Vikings had. Let's take a look at that. Vikings. How good have they been? Vikings, year to year. They must have sucked with that O-line. 28th, 18th, 24th, and 29th. Got to have sucked. So let's see what they've done the last 4 years here. Okay. So the Vikings last year were 9-8. Year before that, they were 14-3. That's 23-11. Year before that, they were 7-10. That's 30-21. And then after that, they were 13-4. So in the last 4 years, the Vikings are 43-25, averaging over 10 wins. Doesn't sound like a football team that sucks too bad to me. Not when you're averaging almost 11 wins. The Vikings averaged 11 wins the last 4 years. That don't sound too horrible to me. That's not that bad. I mean, they were good with Darnold. Not the brightest front office. And they still won almost 11 ball games in 4 years. Can't take an O-lineman if their opinion, the good ones were taken already. You move to plan B, best player available. Then why not move out of the first round and pick up better offensive linemen in the second round in the second? Dude, if you're going to do the same shit, doesn't getting an offensive lineman make more sense than a wideout? If you're not changing? Our new hyped up wide receiver 3, Wicks, had a drop rate of 9.1, which is only slightly better than Jalen Reagor's 10 in 2021. I'm going to be sick. That's why he was expendable in Green Bay. Dude, according to Brian Gutekunst, he wasn't even going to make the team. Face it, Eagle fans are in a wait-and-see position now, okay? Need to see how this plays out with the new offensive coaching and some new personnel. They will still have talent, yes. Ultimately, it'll be how it all gels. Not a terrible take, not at all. We don't have the talent at wide receiver to stick to coverage reads on border hoping for mismatches. And you are bordering on mismatches like they had with AJ. AJ is a mismatch because AJ on 50-50 throws, he's going to win that. Made more sense to me to get a tackle, but I'm not in the room. Nor am I. Sills, couldn't any coach plug and play if the team has mastered Southland's system? I don't think that works like that. Bill Callahan, the guy up in, who's the offensive line coach in Minnesota? No, in Detroit right now. Who's that coach? The Minnesota O-line coach. Is that Haley up there? Who's the Detroit Lions offensive line coach? Yeah, Hank Fraley. That's another guy. Hank Fraley, Jeff Stoutland, Bill Callahan. Those are your better offensive line coaches. Those are the guys, okay? Those are the guys that are the best O-line coaches that you have in the league today. And I think that guy up there in Detroit, I think he's spectacular. Then there's this. Eagles used 28 different offensive lineman combinations in 24. Fourth most in the NFL, and still won the Super Bowl and had the number one O-line. They were the number one ranked O-line in 24 with Jeff Stoutland as the coach. Hey, Forrest, that's a great pull. They had 28 different offensive line combinations and still finished number one. And the highest in the last 4 years, Chris Cooper has been as an offensive line coach is 18th. The rest of them are 28, 24, and 29. How did the guy get the job? Surely he's not in production, that's for sure. Everyone brings up Jalen being good at tight window throws without realizing those goal balls and late throw hitches where AJ wins or contested catches are where the tight window rank comes from. Yeah, AJ fighting for the passes in those tight windows. Sills, did you know that AJ and Brandon Cooks were the only wide receivers in history to be traded for at least a first-round pick more than once? Kind of crazy. I never knew that. That's a great pull. Okay? You miss great O-line coaching when you don't have one anymore. Well, we're going to find out. And by the way, hot, we're going to find out. All this stuff is going to play out. All of it. New O-line coach, new passing game coordinator, new OC, a cosmetic system, all of this. Totally. No AJ. 14 wins. Barkley start 2 seasons, now come back down to earth. Everybody watching people give it up. Seals, Nick said today, I know we're going to go over what Nick said today. I haven't even got to my topics yet. Seals, Nick said today that he and Howie are a great team. They discuss all decisions made in the building. Do you buy that? No, I don't. I don't buy that. I think Howie goes to him and tells him what he's going to do personnel-wise. And Nick has to adjust. Sills, ESP asked Sirianni, since he believes in players having to be close, did the relationship between AJ and Jalen affect the team? His answer was no, followed by word salad. Let's get to that. Because it was. He didn't answer the question. I listened to it. So, by the way, as I said, Carolina, TCU, 81 days away, college football, August 29th. 58 days until the Hall of Fame game. 92 days away until the NFL's first game of the year. And 45 days away until the start of training camp. That's how close we are. So I did listen to that Nick Sirianni thing. And once again, you hear Bob Lang at the end of it. That's enough. We're out. Because everybody was asking. And people finally did their fucking jobs. And asked about A.J. Brown. Nobody cared about anything else. They only wanted to hear about A.J. And Nick and them weren't prepared for all that. You could tell. That's why that interview was short. Smitty was a top 10 pick. How often do you see receivers selected that high get replaced the following year? That's my take. They draft a guy 10th the following year. How he goes and trades away a first-round pick for AJ. Have you ever seen that in NFL history? I haven't. Okay? I haven't. So, Nick met with the press today. Okay? Okay, that to me, okay, was a non-prepared presser today. God, this offseason went so fast. I completely agree, my friend. So Sirianni was asked about the loss of A.J. Brown in his room. You know what he said? I'm really excited about the guys we have, and I'm really excited about the people. And then he went into this fucking stupid shit and said this. Mekhi Lemon has really, really looked good. How many practices has Mekhi Lemon had, actually? One? Didn't he only practice one day? And then the next day he was hurt, and then they didn't play him again. I thought Mekhi Lemon only had one practice. Did he not only have one practice in OTAs? And he said he's looked great. I'm like, where was that? In a seance? I mean, am I wrong to say that he only had one practice with the team? Did he have any more? I might be wrong. I could have swore I remember only people saying, Sills, he's been hurt. You guys corrected me and said that he's been hurt. He's not practicing. I mean, right? Am I right? Let's see here. Here. Sills can't wait to call Lemon a bust. That's not true. Hey, bro, you don't have to ever think for me. Just ask me a fucking question and I'll tell you. Don't try thinking for me, okay? I'll tell you. Just ask me. Sills can't wait for him to say he's a bust. Bro, if I'm rooting against somebody, you'll know it. You don't have to have this stupid take. Like I'm going to come up with some sort of bullshit answer. I'll tell you exactly how I feel. Sills, I think more of this heat should go on Lurie and Roseman. Nick isn't allowed to be honest if he wants his paycheck. I already told you, I hope that Mekhi Lemon's a bust. My God, don't make anything up, man. You know who was a better receiver that came out of SC than Lemon? Nelson Aguilar. And he sucked the first 2 years. Nelson Aguilar was ever a great player? I think Nelson Aguilar was okay. No, I said he might be. And he might be better than Devontae. Bro, another guy. Go sit down for a while. Seriously, guy, go sit down. So let's sit here and go here with this one. I thought Mekhi Lemon was injured. Here was another great one. His take on AJ, and he was asked a question about AJ and the relationship with Hurts. And I didn't even know what he said. I couldn't follow along. I didn't know what he was saying. And as it went on, they realized that they were going to be asked all these questions about A.J. Brown. And Bob Lang didn't want any more questions about A.J. Brown. Nick kept trying to go to, like, we're really glad with the guys we have, which is a smart answer. It's not bad. I really like the guys we have. But the Philly media was not getting off that question. They finally did his job. They finally did their job. And that's what, how long was that interview that Sirianni did? Let me take a look at that. How long was that thing? Because that was one of the shorter ones. It was 9 minutes. The guy didn't even give you 10 minutes because you know why? It was going off the rails on all AJ talk. And then Bob Lang stopped it. Nobody wanted to talk about Mekhi Lemon. Nobody wanted to talk about Devontae Smith. They wanted to know why AJ's not on the team anymore. And they didn't want to answer it. That's my takeaway. It sounded like a Joe Biden presser. I really like the guys in the room. The guy went down all Elijah Moore. It went all the way down to Elijah Moore. I was like, what? I don't know what the fuck homie went in this offense. Eagles talk Super Bowl. Want to hear y'all bragging. Keep the Jalenites in line. You can't. You kidding me? They're like one of those religious cults. That's my guy. That's my Jim Jones. Drink the Kool-Aid. It makes sense how Sirianni said today he and Howie discussed all decisions made in the building. They didn't include Stout's opinions. That's why he left. Do you believe the GM talks to Nick before he acts? No, I don't. So let me get this right. Nick Sirianni thought it was a good move to go get Julio Jones or Robert Quinn. You think he made calls on Robert Quinn? You think he went and called? Nick called Mike McDaniels for Jalen Daniels? I know how that deal went. Rosenhaus told me. There were a bunch of teams in the mix. Rosenhaus called for Jalen Carter right before the trading deadline. And Howie asked about, you think the Dolphins would move off because Chris Greer got fired, the general manager. Prior to Chris Greer getting fired, do you know what Rosenhaus told Howie? The general manager is getting fired next week by Stephen Ross. Call back next week and see what the Dolphins do. Chris Greer didn't want to get rid of Jalen Phillips. That's why he was fired. And if you look at it, he was fired. Then the following week, you got Jalen Phillips. I talked to Drew Rosenhaus and Robert Bailey, who was a former teammate of mine who works with Rosenhaus. That's exactly what went down. Chris Greer, the GM there, didn't want to trade him. Didn't want to do it. He gets fired, comes back the next week, calls the interim GM up, makes the deal. That's how it went down. Take a look at the timeline. It's not that hard for imbeciles even to follow. He was fired because of new coaches. Chris Greer was fired. No, dude, the coach wasn't fired. Chris Greer was fired first. You talked to Clint Hurt and said he was leaving, and you were no, that's not what we said. We told you that Chris Greer and the owner of the Dolphins had offered Clint Hurt the defensive coordinating job in Miami. How I know this? Jason Taylor told me that he was going to be the D-line coach of the Miami Dolphins. Howie Roseman and the Eagles gave him a promotion to assistant head football coach, which meant more money, and he would be next in line. Twiz, get your shit together. Like, how would you know? How in God's name would you know that? But on. Here we start out today with Devontae Smith's a better ball player than A.J. Brown. And Clint Hurt wasn't offered the DC job in Miami because you know. Okay. Hey, congratulations to you. I'm glad you guys are so plugged in. If you're going to call out Eagles for capping, you best start capping. What? Okay. Let's see here. Let's get to somebody. Okay. Let me see here. Let's get to somebody with some brains. Some really dumbasses in here today. I'm only going to talk to smart folks in here today. Hurts come back to Texas. Get that hellhole. Get out of that hellhole now. Hey, dude. The Texans are not a better football team than the Philadelphia Eagles. The Texans have a better defense than the Philadelphia Eagles. Okay? They have a better one. Their defense is the best defense in pro football right now. Okay? No, you can't make this shit up. You can't. You cannot make this shit up. Wow. Anyone with a complete frontal lobe knows AJ smokes. Dude, not in here. Not in here. Look what they'll tell you. They believe that. Look. They truly believe that. Look. They believe this shit. You can't talk to people that are not rational. That's like not rational thinking. Devontae's better. What else? That Mekhi Lemon has been called a bust already in helmets and shorts. You can't make this shit up. You just can't. These people are delusional. Some, not all. Do you think it was Aaron Rodgers' footwork that helped him have so much success in LaFleur's offense? Do you think Jalen can learn to improve this? Bro, Aaron Rodgers is one of the best processors also of the football. Hurts can't read a defense. Aaron Rodgers dissects a defense as well as anybody ever. And he's one of the great throwers of the football. Jalen Hurts and Aaron Rodgers in the same conversation, there's no comparison. Rodgers will go down as one of the top 5 players of all time at that position. There's no getting around that. Okay? There's just no getting around it. His ability in the pocket, his throwing of the football, his legendary career. Guy threw 46 touchdowns and had 4 picks one year. You're never going to get around that. Tampa Bay Buccaneers defensive coach said the same thing. Yeah, he's on a different level, Aaron Rodgers. Dude, he's one of one. Like Brady and Montana, and those dudes, Peyton Manning. These guys are just like different dudes, man. I've never played quarterback, so I'm going to ask, is it hard to read a defense from a quarterback's point of view? Jeff, this is what a guy – here, listen. So Jimmy Johnson down at his place in Almirada, and even before he retired from pro football, every year what he would do is he would have coaches come down, and they would talk about how they prepare like their players. And this is what Belichick did for Brady. They would get 2 laptops across from one another, okay? And they would come over situational play calling and situational situations. 2nd and 9 from your own 25. I'm going to throw a defense at you. What's the number one thing you have to find? you have to find your point of reference. Where do you think pressure is coming from? Belichick would disguise it. Belichick would change it. And what he did with Brady was he played these war games. And how Brady became so good at it, you got the greatest defensive-minded coach in NFL history teaching a guy who could process as well as anybody in NFL history to do what? Find your landmark. Where do you think Jalen Hurts didn't know how to set pressure and protection until 2 years ago? The coaches said it. How do you not know how to set protection as an NFL quarterback? Wemby is truly generational. I live in New York City. Love this. It was a great night last night at MSG. Okay? Seals, I don't care how good AJ is as a player. That man sold out his team and quit on his team. I'm starting to believe that, dude. That's an automatic disqualifier as a football player. Okay? You should know better than being in the NFL. I didn't say he did everything right. Where are you getting that? Are you under the impression I'm defending his behavior? I'm telling you he's a great football player. Are you under the impression A.J. Brown is acting any different than Terrell Owens or Randy Moss or any of those other guys? He's got the same mentality as those guys. He just hides it better. AJ's a better bullshit artist than T.O. You don't know that? Why do you think we called him A.J. Owens? Man, I'll tell you what, when you guys, you're always shocked when you see things like this happen. I'm never shocked. I'm never shocked. Seals, most people don't know this about Roethlisberger. He didn't start playing football and playing quarterback till college. I think Ryan Tannehill did that too, Kyle. Ryan Tannehill, when he got to Texas A&M, I think he was a wide receiver. And by the time Ryan Tannehill left A&M, Ryan Tannehill was a first-round quarterback by the Dolphins. Being a long-term Eagle fan, should be used to it already. AJ dragging Hurts' name through the mud going to inspire Hurts to come out or to come in and prove himself like he did after being benched and losing the Super Bowl in 22. Okay? Not a bad take. A.J. Brown will thrive in New England with a true NFL quarterback. I completely agree. You can't sit there and say he's a great football player when you're a snake. I'm sorry. Well, he is a great football player. Two things can be true. I grew up different from you, Sills. We would have kicked him off the team and would have never played with him again. That's the difference between you and Jimmy Johnson. You got to manage that snake. Because what you got to do is you got to try to get the best you can out of a murderer in Aaron Hernandez or an asshole like Antonio Brown in Pittsburgh. There lies a difference between understanding how to coach people too, David. You don't want to coach people like that. If that guy can help you win a football game, Jimmy Johnson's going to coach A.J. Brown all day long. And he's going to get the best out of him. And when he's done with him, he's going to fire him. End of story. You don't want to get the best out of the player. That's why you're not a great coach. You wouldn't be a great coach. Sometimes you got to coach the snake, dude. You think everybody has that same mentality that you have and that old school mentality? Hey, one for the team. Let's win one for the Gipper. You're coaching all kinds of mentalities, all kinds of personalities. That's what makes a great coach. The great coaches can coach anybody. Not just the fact that you don't want to coach a snake. Sometimes you got to coach the snake to get where you want to go. Do you trust the snake? No, I never told you to. That's why I called him A.J. Owens. If you know the player, what he is, like his NFL pre-draft profile, you're not shocked. You're the one that's shocked. You're the one that's shocked. So the only players who wins are, who said that? So the only player who wins are snakes, and that's not true. No shit, guy. Who said every player on the team's a snake? I said you got to fucking coach those guys. Who said that? Man, 5% again. Well, may meet AJ's expectations. Hey, dude, you asked a question you know the answer to. You asked a question, okay? You asked a question that you know the answer to. Okay? You know that. We're not shocked. We're just like, fuck you, bro. Okay. Not a problem there. Seals, they think they're all choir boys. No, they're hoping they're all choir boys. They're all hoping they're choir boys. I don't give a shit about that. I don't care about your personality. I don't care about any of that shit. Are you going to help our football team win? Yes or no? End of story. Seals, the guy's an asshole. So what? Can he play? Hey, Seals, you worry about his this and that? Hey, you worry about his character? No, I knew his character. You're the only ones that did it. I'm not. Players' personalities don't shock me. You could take a look at a guy and understand, listen, A.J. Brown wants touches. He wants targets. He would rather have, and I told you this, he'd rather have 100 catches, 1,400 yards, and 10 touchdowns than win a Super Bowl. It's more rewarding for him. Most players at that position think like that. You think Jamar Chase is unhappy in Cincinnati? How many people in here think Jamar Chase is unhappy in Cincinnati? Why would he be unhappy in Cincinnati? Why would Jamar Chase be unhappy in Cincinnati? Because he doesn't win? He doesn't give a shit about that. Because football players have no control over that. It's a team unit. If the Bengals front office doesn't want to build a defense, that's not on Jamar Chase. I got Joe Burrow. I'm getting mine. That's what that comes down to. I think it's you, Z, because I haven't heard anything back yet from, and I'm assuming that means his cable's not back. So probably going to get him on Thursday, Coach Jason Brown. Jason Cole will join us at Thursday, I believe, at 3:30. Chase is unhappy for the same reason Garrett was unhappy in Cleveland. They want the Lombardi after they achieve their personal stats. Well, that'll come later on. He's only been in the league a couple of years. He's still getting his career established as one of the top receivers in the NFL. I don't hear him crying about anything about Cincinnati. I've never heard him bitching about anything. He's one of the highest paid players in the league. He's getting his targets, and he's getting his numbers. And he's considered the best wideout in the league in Cincinnati. Go figure that out. How could you be the best wide receiver in the league in Cincinnati? Let's take a look at those lists. I'll just pull up any random list, and I'll type this in. 2026 best NFL wide receivers. Okay? Let's see what they say. Best NFL wide receivers. Let's see who's at the top of that. Oh, gee. Jamar Chase is number 1. He plays in Cincinnati. Wow. They don't win a lot. Well, how can he be the number 1 wideout in the NFL on one of the shittiest teams in the history of the league? Oh, I know. Because he gets his numbers. That's why. Here, let's go to ESPN. 8 days ago, fantasy football even. Just another list. Jamar Chase. Who would have thunk it? Number 1. Wow. Let's take another look. Let's go to another one. Sports Illustrated. This one has JSN, then Jamar Chase. How could Jamar Chase be either the 1 or 2 greatest wideout in the NFL and he's on a shitty team? Because he gets his numbers. It's not because he wins. It's because he gets his numbers. What does winning have to do with that? Winning has nothing to do with the perception he's the best wideout in the league. Nothing. Why would he go to some place like Philly to lower his numbers and to lower the narrative on him as a player? Why would he do that? He wouldn't. Why would he want to play in Philly where they wouldn't look at him as one of the top wideouts in the game? Hey, they won. Yeah, but I'm also considered now the 9th best receiver in the league. It's not on the players to take a pay cut for teams. It can structure whatever they want. Bengals are just cheap. That's right. Yeah, okay. Hold on for a second. You're just wrong, and it's painful. Chase said quietly, quite literally last year, that he did not give a fuck about stats. Okay. So wait a minute. Wide receivers don't give a shit about numbers. Then why did AJ want out? You can't be dumber. You just can't be dumber. Answer the question, Sills. I answered your question every time you ask. I ask you a question this time. Please, what player did Jimmy Johnson have that quit on his team and on a team that kept him? Jimmy Johnson would never have brought AJ on his team. You're missing the point, guy. You brought AJ on knowing that personality. There lies the difference in a guy who's looking for championship players. Jimmy wouldn't have brought that on in the first place. He would have never been on a Jimmy Johnson team. Jimmy doesn't bring players with disgruntled on their resume, losing interest. The number one thing that Jimmy likes is guys who love the game and love the sport and love working. He would never have brought him on. A.J. Brown would never have been a guy that Jimmy would have put on his team. So it would have been a guy that it would never have been a conversation. You're missing the point. You're the guys that knew who he was. Yo, like, when was that Michael Irvin stabbed somebody? Chase also basically downplayed Burrow's contribution to his own success. Hey, of course they do. They want everybody to know it's them. That's why A.J. Brown said the greatest Eagle to ever do it. That's why he said that. I mean, that's the reason. It's been a long 3 years, so I can understand why it's hard to remember that once upon a time, the passing game was a lot better than it has been in 24 and 25. The passing game has never been better. You had 1 year where it was good in the last 5 years. The average where it sits at 24th. 21, you were 28th. In 22, you were 8th. In 23, you were 16th. 24, you were 29th. Last year, you were 23rd. Brandon, it's never really been good at all. I'm starting to feel bad for this fan base. Reality is going to hurt. Imagine Hurts with Andy. He could read a defense. Yeah, because Andy would develop that skill set in him. Because Andy would know it would be important for Jalen. Oh, yeah. If Andy Reid was Jalen Hurts' coach, Jalen Hurts would be a completely different football player by now, going into his 7th year. He'd be a 10-time better player. Oh, absolutely. Jalen Hurts would be a better ball player if Andy Reid was his coach, because he would have developed him. Andy would have taken time to teach him how to read. Andy Reid would have shown the guy how to play the game. And it would have been important for him to develop. Nick believes in a system. I believe Andy Reid believes in developing the quarterback. Look at all the quarterbacks that he's played with. He developed Vic into being a... Remember what Michael Vick said? I wish I had Andy Reid when I was younger. He'd have been the difference in my career. Who cares about Michael Irvin in the Hall of Fame with 3 Super Bowl rings? Fans worrying about the wrong thing. And don't forget his state championship in high school and his national championship when he was in college. What did the teammate do? Michael Irvin is not a bad teammate. I don't give a shit what you think. I played with the guy, both professionally and collegiately. And the guy happens to be one of my best friends. The guy's a great teammate. And I would swear by that guy. Coyote, he didn't have a bunch of turnovers at 23, but the offense was still moving before the collapse. He did have a total... Bro, what are you talking about, Twiz? He had 24 turnovers in 17 games. With the fumbles and the interceptions, he didn't have a bunch of turnovers at 23. He had 24 turnovers. That's just not true. Where, God's name, did you get that? He didn't have... I mean, dude, what are you talking about? 23 was a turnover machine. Love Jimmy Johnson and his values to football coaching. Let's see here. He had 20 total turnovers. He had 15 picks, and he had in 17 games, he had 20 turnovers. Okay? The Birds are in for a rude awakening. Michael Irvin's so bad they wouldn't have him a leader on those Cowboy teams in the 90s. Dude, Michael Irvin was the leader on that team. He was the leader. Let's see here. No, I'm not reading stupid fucks today that are delusional. I'm more of ill deal with you as long as you're productive. Once you're not, you're gone. Correct. That's the Jimmy Johnson way. Okay? I will guarantee this will be Hurts' best year yet, okay? And the Eagles will be better this year than last. Mark my words. Whoever wants to bet, let's put it in escrow and bet. Let me know who's in. Yes, I did. J.D. Marlavelle, and I also, Vinny, played with J.D. Marlavelle at the University of Maryland my freshman year. He came over from Notre Dame. He had open heart surgery, and Notre Dame cut him loose. He goes to Maryland. Ralph Friedgen turns him into a first-team All-American, and Maryland has a pretty good run with him there. I love J.D. Marlavelle, and J.D. Marlavelle is a dear friend of mine. And yes, I played with him with the Buccaneers. Tremendous, tremendous friend. Absolutely. Great dude. And really a great football player, too. Okay. Sales, how much do you think Jalen consults his dad about his playing the quarterback today? Is he the catalyst for making him a quarterback? I think all the things you learn when you're a younger player, I think what you do is you sit there and you go back and talk to your dad. Your dad's going to be honest with you. That's why. He's totally going to be honest with you. Okay? Okay. Let's see here. Cowboy fans get more comments highlighted on an Eagle stream than Eagle fans. What a joke. Say something smart then. Seals, do you think if Hurts wins another Super Bowl or even gets to another one, he'll be considered better than Lamar or Herbert? Fair question. Hey, Gaddy, do you think that Troy Aikman is a better quarterback because he's won 3 than Elway? Because Elway won 2? Gaddy, do you think that Troy Aikman is a better quarterback than, say, Dan Marino or John Elway? Because Troy won more Super Bowls. And he's a better player than Lamar or Herbert. Do you think that? So here. So if you win more Super Bowls, that means you're a better football player than the next guy. So that means, like, again, I'll bring up the name Plunkett is better than Dan Marino, according to Martin. So according to Martin, a guy like, let's see, who's won multiple? Phil Simms is a better quarterback than Dan Marino. Yes. So that means that Sam Darnold is better than Dan Marino in your face, in your eyes, right, Sig? So Dan Marino, Sam Darnold, because he won a Super Bowl, is better than Dan Marino. Okay? So Terry Bradshaw, having won 4, is better than Peyton Manning. Dude, I know. Isn't it wild? I mean, look at some of these. I mean, some of the answers are pretty wild. Hey, I'm hoping you're kidding. If I was an owner, I would prioritize Super Bowl rings. Well, they don't. They don't prioritize Super Bowl rings. I'm not going to do the exercise with you, guy. The highest paid quarterbacks in pro football are not Super Bowl winners. The highest paid quarterbacks have not even been to Super Bowls. Mahomes is not even in the top 10. if I was an owner, there's not one owner in pro football today that prioritizes Super Bowls. Like who? The Jags guy? The Bills? Who? The Cowboys? Name me one owner who prioritizes Super Bowl wins when it comes to paying quarterbacks. Name me one. Name me one quarterback. And Mahomes is the 14th highest paid quarterback in today's NFL. He's 14th. 14th. Here, look at this. If Flex thinks that look at this, went out sad today because he thinks that Devontae's better than AJ. Congratulations to you, guy. I'm not going to change your opinion, and I don't want to. I want you to have that opinion. Good luck to you, dude. We need to get Sills a roller or a bong so he can light up. Some of you guys are stupid as shit, man. It's really unbecoming. But it's all right. It's fandom. You should have it. There weren't Super Bowl winners, but they are expected to win Super Bowls. They get paid big money because they assume they are capable of leading them to a Super Bowl. They wouldn't pay them otherwise. Well, they're not paid on Super Bowls, though. They're paid on the ability that they think they can get them there, which is mean potential. I'm not going to go through that exercise again. But the highest paid players are not Super Bowl champions. What and why is that so hard to believe? Not one guy is paid on Super Bowls. And by the way, your quarterback this year in 2026, what did I see? I want to do something here. What did I see that they came up with? Somebody sent me something on, let me see here. Let's see. After, I got one here. After the 2026 season, Eagles move on. So somebody sent me this. So here's something to think about after this season in 2026. The Philadelphia Eagles can easily move on from Jalen Hurts after this year because his contract has essentially no guaranteed money. It's $20 million. It's not anything you would go into the season with. There's no way Nicole Lynn's going to let him go into that. Minimum dead cap hits. Hurts signed a massive 5-year $255 extension in April of 23, but back-ended the deal is heavily backloaded with non-guaranteed base salaries. If the Eagles traded or released him before the start of the 27 season, the dead money hit is highly manageable and deferrable. They could defer it out. The reset window, Howie Roseman, general manager, restructured the deal to give the team flexibility. Reaching the end of the 26 season marks a natural inflection point where the Eagles can pivot to a new quarterback or pursue a contract restructuring depending on his performance. This is all on 26. The performance factor. Hurts' future has become a major talking point in the league circles following consecutive seasons of the passing game inefficiencies and inconsistencies and offensive changes. At the end of this year, the Eagles can easily move on after this with manageable cap hits because they can defer the money. The only hang-up is, of course, the no trade. Sills, do you think your Hurts consulted? Yeah, of course he would. Why wouldn't he? Smitty trash. Smitty's not trash. Smitty's a great football player. He's not A.J. Brown. He's not. And by the way, he's never proven that. And hey, on June 9th, we'll see. Okay. So this Nick Sirianni presser today was less than 10 minutes. Once Bob Lang realized that it was going to be an all-out AJ fest. Hey, and for those of you say that want to move on, I give credit to the Philly media this time. They were not ready to move on because they didn't get any answers. And they wanted some answers today. And, of course, they didn't get them. A.J. Brown is being brought back because the Philly media brought him up today. Every question was about A.J. Brown, unless I missed one. So, here we are. OTAs. They got a full day of OTAs. I believe today and tomorrow. Then after that, we're 45 days out from the start of training camp. All right. Without further ado, our friend, Big Z, Zander Krause, joins us now. How you doing, bro?
What's up, Big Sills? How you living, brother?
All good, dude. All good, man. All right. So what'd you make of that presser today by Nick?
I didn't hear every part of it. I had another meeting actually in the middle of the day, so I haven't had a chance to listen to the full thing, but I did see some of the clips that were posted. A lot of A.J. Brown. I mean, look, I think it's about time that they do move on. I think you're right that the media wanted some answers, and they're obviously that's kind of their job. So I have no problem with them doing that, but I don't think Nick said anything out of ordinary. I like the way he ended the press conference. He said, what was the quote he used at the end of the press conference was something along the lines of, we're trying to accomplish a team goal here. And if you want to do that on your own, you can go do it somewhere else. So I don't know if that was a direct dig at A.J. Brown. Sounded like it was, but what's that?
Sure it was.
Yeah. So, it is what it is. But Nick's always spoke very highly of A.J. So I'm sure he's upset that he's lost a great player. But I don't know how good their relationship was, those two, to be honest with you.
I'll tell you what, that ending comment to me told me a lot. And I think the Eagles tried to convince him that it was more than just about getting individual accomplishments and that it is more about trying to be a team player. I don't think A.J. Brown ever bought into that. And that's why I called him A.J. Owens. He never bought in. Zander, when they won the Super Bowl, remember his reaction in the locker room? He never really – I mean, you would have thought he was Carson Wentz.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, the thing with that's hard for me to gauge is, I think fans live in a world where they want like every athlete and every player to have the same, like tied the same emotional connection to that as them. And that's never going to be the case. Now, I'm not saying a football player shouldn't want to win a Super Bowl, but you have to understand that there's always going to be difference in individuals. For example, I'm a talk show host right now on this channel. If somebody said to me, Zander, you want to win the Super Bowl being a talk show host and become, Angelo Cataldi in his prime, that's not really what I want from my life. Like, that's not really me. Does that make me a bad? No. Now, obviously, I don't play a team game. It's not a perfect comparison. The only reason I say that is because you don't know what AJ wanted as a kid. AJ might not have grown up and said, I want to win a team sport Super Bowl. He might have been like, fuck the Super Bowl. I want to go and be the greatest receiver of all time, or I want to be this, or I want to be that. So you can never get inside someone's head. You never know what they're thinking. But at the same time, the Eagles have business to do and have a job to do and a team to manage. So it doesn't surprise me that they shipped them off either.
You think Jamar Chase is happy in Cincinnati?
Not really.
Hold on. Before you expand. He's considered the number one wide receiver in pro football. He gets all the targets. He's the second highest paid guy. You just got through telling me that, not everybody has control of their own destiny when it comes to winning Super Bowls. He can't help it that the Bengals don't want to spend money on defense. I mean, at the end of the day, so what do you think he would do? You think he would take less targets, less yardage to go to another place to win and to take that perception away of him being the top player in that position in the league? Is that what you're saying? That guy there, Jamar Chase, would do that? That he would want to be looked at as a lesser player playing in a lesser pass offense, even though they won? He would want to do that?
So, I don't know the answer to your question, but this reminds me of something that I'm going to pull this up on the screen real quick. I feel like everybody, and me included, can fall into this trap in life. And I know I'm guilty of it all the time, believe me. And I think this is kind of applies to this. So if you see this graphic I just put on the screen, the value of something before you have it, and then when you have it, and then after you lose it. So in other words, I compare this to a guy like you just said, Jamar Chase. Jamar Chase right now has the numbers. What he doesn't have is the Super Bowls and the winning. So to him right now, that's the most valuable thing. Just like it might have been to AJ before he got to Philly. Then he gets there, you get complacent, you get comfortable, you then want what you want again, and then you go and chase the next shiny object. It's the shiny object syndrome is what it is. So I don't know if there's some of that involved, which is sometimes normal human psychology in a way, but I don't know. It's hard to gauge. What do you think Jamar wants? Because Jamar's going to the whole thing.
Here's what people don't realize with pro athletes and for driven people and people who want to be successful. And a guy like you, okay, Zander, do you think you have a finish line?
Me individually?
I don't believe I ever I don't have a finish line.
No, I agree.
Because I don't know what the finish line looks like.
I'm with you.
I have no idea. And I'm not looking for the finish line, which means this. You're never going to be fucking happy because you're constantly chasing success. Dude, when you chase success, it's the number one thing in your life. Your family, your wife, your kid, you're driven. That drives you. The guys who cross the finish line are the guys who are done in their lives. Guys that are pro athletes don't have a finish line because you're always searching for the next thing. What will make me? AJ doesn't know. Like the Super Bowl, he was disappointed in what the Super Bowl brought him. You know why? Because it was a team thing. He had to share it. He didn't want to share that.
Yeah, and he didn't feel like he was a big.
It's not a bad thing though. It's when you're a pro ball player, you are so concerned about being on the team. The first 3 years, you know what you're doing, Zander? You're praying you fit in. You're praying that you're making it in the league. You're just praying to find a spot on the team. As you get more into your career, then you become more established. Then it becomes more about the environment around you. But these wide receivers are gauged on totally different things. These wide receivers today look at fantasy football more than they look at the reality of their own true self-worth on these teams. They see all these fans betting on them. They see all these fans putting them on their fantasy leagues, talking about trading them. They talk like those guys in fantasy football.
Yeah.
Jake Brown's got a fantasy mentality. He thinks, get this, do you not agree? The lesser targets, the lesser yards, the lesser people think of me. Well, when in theory, he's 50-18 with 2 NFC titles in a Super Bowl.
Yeah,
but people look at that and go, they look more of you on that than they do your numbers.
Well, this is, it's a good point. It's also where I think it's different for quarterbacks. And like people are like, well, all Jalen cares about is winning. And my only pushback to that would be, I agree, Jalen does care about winning, and he sacrificed stats for sure, but
he cares about the perception too, dude.
You get a lot more glory when you're the quarterback. You just do. It's okay. That's the nature of the beast, but it's a lot easier for Jalen to sacrifice. I mean, Jalen threw for 2,900 yards. That's almost unheard of in an NFL season for a starting quarterback.
In 2025,
and he had the biggest media tour I've ever seen.
Yep.
Again, I'm not mad at him for it. Hell, Jalen, all power to you, brother. But it's a little easier for him to accept taking lesser stats. But one thing I wanted to talk about while we're on this topic is, and you were talking about on your show, I think you were debating with the chat about it, is AJ Brown versus Devontae Smith.
Okay.
I think it's a good topic, I agree with you. AJ's a better player, but is AJ just the more productive player? And what I mean is, like, a lot of times you hear guys have talent, right? Like, I think an easy one would be like Jamarcus Russell, sick arm talent, just never did it. A guy like Josh Gordon, obviously one of the most talented receivers to ever be in the league, never got to be able to put it on the field because of obviously the drugs and whatever, all the other things. Because I look at this, and I don't know, maybe somebody corrects me if they think my what I wrote down here is wrong, but I wrote down what I think the top skills of an NFL wide receiver are. I wrote these down. You tell me if you think I'm off on them. Route running, separation, elite hands and hand-eye coordination, body control and sideline awareness, football IQ, and then you have physical traits, speed and burst, strength. You have technical skills, release, tracking and adjusting, and then you have cognitive skills, field vision, and things of that nature.
Can I tell you the first name? Can I tell you the first name that jumps up to me? Adam Thielen.
That's a good one.
Okay. Adam Thielen.
When I listen to those skills, like, who's a better route runner, AJ or Smitty?
Smitty.
Who's got better separation, AJ or Smitty?
Well, I see him get separation at double teams all the time.
I think AJ's pretty good at that. He was down in it last year, but he was good in it in his career. So I'm good with a push there. Hands and hand-eye coordination.
Drops last year. Smith dropped more passes last year than what AJ.
So AJ
did.
there. Body control and sideline awareness.
I would say that's Smitty.
Football IQ, probably pretty similar there.
Yep, probably pretty similar.
Physical traits, speed and burst.
I think AJ's more powerful than Smith. I think Smith.
Well, that's strength and play strength.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'd give Devontae for speed, AJ for strength.
Right.
And then release, tracking and adjusting. I think it's push.
Right.
So my point was that, like, Devontae is close to AJ when it comes to
but they're playing two different positions.
I agree.
One's a one.
Listen, I'm saying I agree with you. I'm just trying to illustrate the point of, like, talent doesn't always equal production in the NFL. Okay. You know, because Devontae has a ton of talent. He's never really been a one, though.
He's never made a Pro Bowl either. And I would make this point to you too about Devontae. And this will always really get under the skin of Eagle fans when I make this comment because they can't answer it. They drafted the guy 10th overall in the National Football League draft. And the following year, they didn't believe the Eagles that they had enough at the wide receiver position. Whether they thought it was Devontae or whatever, they thought they needed to give up another first rounder to go get the guy. And AJ was the number one guy his 4 years here. There's no debating that.
Yeah.
So, I mean, why would you go and get another wideout and use a one the following year if you were comfortable with the 10th pick overall?
Well, yeah. I mean, I feel like they felt that they needed another dominant guy, and that's why they went and did it, you know. And maybe part of that was Jalen, part of that was the offense, part of that was, you know, wanting to become one of the best rosters in football. You know, you could have been settled with one good wide receiver. They went for two. It worked out well for them. But
do you think they utilized both those players? Do you think they utilized both of those players to the best of their ability over the last 4 years as an overall offense, Smith and A.J. Brown?
I think in 22 and 23 they did. I don't think they did in 24 and 25. And I mean, the answer to that is obvious. They obviously became a run-first team. I mean, 23 was AJ had 1,500 and Devontae had 1,250.
Think of what you just said. You moved off of two, and I'm going to say AJ's a first-rounder because you used one on him, right? To go get him, right?
Yeah, we used the 18th overall pick.
So you took two first-rounders and put them basically on the bench for a run game and a risk-averse mentality. That's wild.
Well, why did they run a risk-averse mentality?
Because they decided that was the best avenue for them to win.
And why do you think they decided that, though?
Because they believed that the quarterback couldn't utilize both those guys to make a balanced offense.
Well, I mean, they could also have viewed it as the offensive line and the Saquon Barkley were the strength of the team. I mean, there's a lot of ways to look at it, but yeah, I mean, look, they're not an offense that's going to get the most out of receivers every year. It's just the reality.
Why not? Why can't you have some balance?
You should. That's where they've fallen short. I mean, I'm of the belief, and it feels like I'm standing on an island with this. Even with John in the morning, even with all the people in the chat who I love, all you guys, feels like a lot of you disagree with me on this. I'm of the belief the biggest problem in the run game last year was the pass game. If you can't pass the football, it's going to be easier to stop the run. Ineffective for 2 years passing the football. Never made teams pay when they stack the box to take away the run. Never. Other than a few go balls on 3rd and 12. Nothing consistent, nothing over the middle, nothing, beating got. So if they don't pass to me, then the running game is going to continue to get clogged up. So I don't know. I'm in wait and see mode with this offense on it, but I do believe that they got to pass the ball better this year, dude. They have to be more balanced.
I had a guy in here who gave me this, and I had a guy look it up, and it's true. So in the last 4 years, Jeff Stoutland's offensive lines in 22 was first, 23 was first, 24 was first,
Woo!
25 was 7th. That's his worst year in the last 4 years. Here's Chris Cooper's numbers in the last 4 years. The offensive line of Minnesota was ranked 28th. Then it was ranked 18th. Then it was ranked 24th. Then it was ranked 29th. And here's another one. They ranked in those 4 years in the top 10 in giving up the most sacks. How'd that guy get that job?
Wow. Sills, I get where you're coming from with that, but I could do the same thing with Vic Fangio.
I'm talking about firing a guy who was on the unit.
Well, no, you missed my point. My point is that the players matter. Jeff Stoutland had great players. Who'd the Vikings have on the O-line in the last 5 years?
The Vikings averaged 11 wins over those.
They don't have they don't have offensive linemen like Philly has.
Okay, wait a minute. They weren't losing.
My point is Vic Fangio a bad coach when he had a 25th ranked defense, or did he have bad players?
So
my point is Chris Cooper's rankings were lower because he didn't have the players that Jeff had.
So wait, you fired a guy who had 3 firsts out of 4 years, and the lowest was 7th. For a guy in the last 4 years who didn't have above a 18th ranking in O-line, 18th, 28th, 18th, 24th to 29th ranked O-lineman. And it's because he had developed no Pro Bowlers in that entire time.
I think just Darrisaw, right?
I think so. And Vic Fangio takes a guy like Mekhi Becton, who was a bust in the Jets, and turns him into a Pro Bowler right guard. Nobody on that offensive line outside of Lane Johnson was a first-round draft choice.
Yeah, I mean, look, I'm not going to dispute that Jeff Stoutland's an awesome coach. I was just trying to shed light on. I mean, I wouldn't count Chris Cooper out because he didn't have good rankings. That's.
I want to know how he got the job and what he did in Minnesota, because the job he did in Minnesota, I don't see the production.
I know, but
you're blaming? So wait a minute. So what you're saying is that the organization itself didn't put good players in front of him. Is that right?
I mean, players have a big impact. That's what I'm saying. I mean, I'm not saying that Cooper's better than Stoutland. Definitely not. Cooper's got a lot to prove, but I just don't want to use the Vikings O-line rankings as my entire barometer for whether Cooper can be a good coach.
Okay. I had never heard of the guy before, but that doesn't mean anything. My question is, do you think a Chris Cooper could take a 7th round Jordan Mailata and turn him into a $30 million guy?
I mean, no, because that's very hard to do. That's the exception to the rule. I don't think many can do that. So yeah, I mean, look, Stoutland's a loss, but my whole point is that I'm not going to say that Cooper sucks because the Minnesota Vikings O-line sucked. I mean, their GM just got fired because he couldn't build a roster to save his life.
Horrible.
Yeah, horrible. That's what I mean. So, I get your point, but I don't know. Let's see on Cooper. I mean, he's got better guys now. If the O-line struggles this year, all right, it's fair for you to say Cooper might not be him. But
what about AJ going back into your facility and writing down The greatest Eagle to ever do it.
Is that real? I read that today. I'm like, bro, what? What did he write? Let me go and look this up. I was outside all day.
Please tell me if this is real. It can't be. It can't be.
A.J. Brown stopped by the facility to take one last shot at the organization.
I don't believe that, man. It can't be. He could not. How did he get back in?
He wrote this: the best to ever play here.
Oh my God.
Dash always open.
Oh my God. Dude.
There's no way that he wrote that.
It can't be. No way. No way. No way.
I mean, you got a bigger ego than anybody I've ever met. I don't even think you could write that fucking thing.
Ever. That'd be like going into Angelo's studio and going, Big Sills, the greatest to ever do.
Dude, that is whack.
No way.
He might be one of the best receivers to ever play here.
Dude, no fucking way. No way. So I got a couple.
Does somebody have a picture of this? Like,
yeah, I want to. I don't believe.
Is that out there? Did AJ do that? AJ Brown, best to ever play here. Is that what he said?
Yeah, the greatest to ever do it.
Best to ever play here. Always open.
That has to be AI.
This is NBC Sports Philly. Look.
Oh my God, he did say that. Then those guys are a mouthpiece for that joint.
Yeah, look, I'll pull it up. This is Mike.
Yeah, I want to see. I got to see this.
I mean, it doesn't show it, but like it just writes it.
AJ Brown, the greatest to ever do this.
Here, look. AJ Brown signs off in Philly with the best ever play here. Always open. AJ Brown made his official farewell to Philly on Monday when he was traded to the Patriots. He returned to the building to get the last of his things later in the week, and he left something behind. On a wall with photos of the team's Pro Bowl player, Brown applied his signature. He added a message to it. The best to ever play here, Brown wrote via Mike Garafolo of NFL Network. Always open. Oh, my gosh.
Oh, my God.
What?
God, what a fucking troll. Dude, that is the ultimate troll job.
Is that even a troll job, or is that stroking your
delusional? Delusional.
Yeah.
Okay.
James says, I respect it. I'm sorry.
I respect it. Oh my God, almighty man! I got a couple questions here for you, Big Z. Okay, Devontae Smith and Jalen Hurts. Who's going to benefit more with AJ not being here?
Devontae or Jalen?
Yeah.
Benefit? I don't think Jalen's going to benefit at all. And
so you don't think he elevates his game then?
I didn't say that. I'm saying the onus is more now on him than it was on the people around him. So I don't think that helps him. That doesn't mean he can't do it. That's not what I said. I'm saying I don't think it helps him. You know, you can still prevail. You know, if you lose Lane Johnson in a game, you can still win the game. It's harder to win the game, though. So that's kind of how I see it. Devontae Smith, people aren't going to like this, but feel similarly. I mean, I don't think it helps Devontae to put more double teams on him, more pressure on him, more targets, you know, when there's less. You know, remember, when A.J. Brown got here, he had Devontae Smith with him. When you have a number two like that, the one helps the two, and the two helps the one. Devontae right now has Dontavian Wicks and a rookie. I mean, if I'm Dan Quinn, who's the defensive coordinator right now in Washington?
I think it's still Dan Quinn. I think he's the one
he's
calling
doing all. I'm not letting him get out of a double team once. I don't care what I have to do defensively to take him out of the game.
No way.
You want to beat me with Mekhi Lemon and Dontavian Wicks? Go for it. I'd rather lose that way. So I don't know that it helps Devontae either. He's obviously going to have more of an opportunity to catch the football, being the number one wide receiver. But I don't know that it helps him.
No, it doesn't. But here's why. Yeah, and it's Dan Quinn in Washington. He's calling the plays. Here's why. Okay, well, we're going to find out two things about two players here. if Devontae Smith really is the number one, by the way, this could be a big, he's either going to get $35 to $40 million or they're going to get another wide receiver or pray that Mekhi Lemon is going to be a number one, a future number one. You better hope he turns out to be that guy. Now, John says, and I agree, I'm not worried about Devontae. Well, you're asking him to do a completely different role. This is a different role, dude. You know, Zander, like you said with Jalen Hurts coming into this year, didn't you say this at the beginning of the season? Dude's got to throw the ball for the Eagles to be successful this year because they're going to tempt them by loading the box, and they're going to have to do something to throw the ball and be productive at throwing the ball. 17 games, they couldn't do it consistently. That's why Jalen's going into this year now with that kind of notion. Hey, dude, we're now here. You got to pick your game up. Well, now Devontae is being put in a role at the beginning of the year. You know what that is? Bro, you got to carry us on that one. You got to be the guy.
Yeah.
You got to show up every week, and you've got to be the guy that people fear. One thing about AJ, do you not agree? You had to defend him. You have to defend that guy. You just cannot defend that guy.
That's without a doubt, for sure.
And sometimes when Devontae's not in games and AJ is, I don't notice that. Well, this is a different role now. This is a whole different role. You got Jalen Hurts that has to prove he can win without a guy like AJ, and you got Devontae that's got to prove he's a one. And if they do that, the riches are there for both players. But they've not been
less
in that
concerned
role.
about Devontae and more concerned about those surrounding him. What's Mekhi Lemon going to be? I don't know. Nobody knows. I mean, you could be optimistic on him. I have no idea.
Yeah, but if Devontae doesn't turn out to be that threat, the rest of those guys
will be that threat.
Those guys, no matter who they are, what they do, dude, you agree the reason why Devontae got single coverage versus AJ's double coverage is because they feared that guy.
Yeah, absolutely. You know how I view this, Sills? I kind of view it like Saquon. Like last year, Saquon Barkley was still a threat. He was still the same guy. He just couldn't do it because the defenses were so much more focused on him. I kind of feel the same about Devontae this year. I think he can do it. I just don't know how much the defenses are going to try and take him away because there's no respect probably for the other receivers on the field and probably Jalen's ability to spread the ball to more targets or to more people, And
I don't disagree with this, Flex. I think AJ has to show that he can go up there and be the player that he's been in Philly.
Yeah, but receivers aren't the number one reason that you win football games.
No.
So he doesn't really have anything to prove that he can win. I don't agree with that comment. I mean, the Patriots won 14 games last year.
I get it, but he's got to show he's still a dominant player that delivers.
That is certainly true.
He's got to show that, you know what? Hey, I got to defend this guy. This guy here is just not a dude.
Yeah, but receiving, Flex says you can't win without us. Well, Flex, does that mean Jamar Chase isn't a good receiver because they don't win a lot? Does that mean, Justin Jefferson isn't a good, you know what I mean? He does have to prove he's still a dominant one. I agree with that.
So WIP had a couple polls up today, and I saw this, and I wanted to get your take on it. Who do you think the front office has put more of the onus on this year in 26 and more pressure on? Sirianni or Hurts?
Hurts. Feels like Hurts to me. Doesn't feel like Nick's under all that much pressure. And in fact, it almost felt like they gave Nick more of a leash this year. You interview 18 guys, pick Mannion, let Mannion hire.
Mannion gives you the impression that it's not a bad take. So Mannion hiring another guy with no experience whatsoever shows you that, hey, the front office went like this. If Nick thought this guy was the right guy to be the offensive coordinator of this football team, even though he doesn't have the experience, let's talk to him. Let's hear him. And after they heard him, that probably, like you said, gave him a little bit more equity in the building maybe because he basically hired the same guy as Kevin Patullo, not in the building, right?
Well,
I could see it that way. Bro,
Yeah,
if I was so concerned about Nick's hiring practices, I'm not letting Nick hire somebody who's never called plays again.
yeah, I mean, I think my answer is more about Jalen than it is about Nick. Like Jalen, it would have been easy. Like if they were in on Jalen, they would have given him a new contract. It's done. There's nothing else to do. You know, actions speak louder than words. That'll always be true. They didn't give Jalen a new contract. That tells me exactly what I think. Nick Sirianni's fresh off a 5-year deal he signed last summer. You know, Nick Sirianni chose the coach and apparently is giving Mannion more control than he's given any other offensive coordinator. So I don't know. I mean, I think Jalen is in a prove-it year. Now, in the same breath, if they win 8 or 9 ball games this year, are they both blown out?
I think it's going to be how it looks. I do. I think it's going to be how it looks. And then you're going to ask this question. Then you're going to ask this question. Who do I want to be in business with? You understand what I'm saying?
Yep.
Who do you want to be in business with moving forward?
Who do you want to steady the waters with?
That's right. Let me read you this here as we move on here. By the way, Marsha, appreciate you doing it. We're going to read all the supers here in a minute. I asked a question about Jalen Hurts if the Eagles can move on after the 26th season. Here's some of the parameters around this. The Eagles can move on easily after the 26th season with Jalen Hurts because his contract has essentially no guaranteed money. I think it's like 20 remaining beyond that year. The structure flexibility allows the front office to transition to another quarterback without suffering crippling cap penalties, which means you can defer it out over an extended period of time. Minimum dead cap. Hurts signed a massive 5-year, $255 extension in April of 23, but the back end of the deal is heavily backloaded with no guaranteed base salaries. So if the Eagles trade or release him before the 27th season, after June 1st, the dead money hit is highly manageable. The reset window. General Manager Howie Roseman structured the deal to give the team roster flexibility. Reaching the end of the 26th season marks a natural inflection point where Philadelphia can pivot, if so need be, off the quarterback. So, outside of the no trade, 26, they can move off of him in the offseason of 27 after June 1.
Yeah, I mean, I to be clear, I don't think that would be ideal contract wise for the Eagles. I mean, the easiest way for the team to build back up, and I know there will be people who don't want to see this happen because Jalen has his fair share of lovers and he's got his fair share of haters. The easiest thing for the Eagles would be to have him earn another contract because it gives you way more cap flexibility. If you extend him, kick it down the road all the way, lower your cap hits in the immediate future, retool the offense and the defense where you need to, and keep rolling. But
even if the passing game doesn't improve?
Well, no. I mean,
okay.
I'm saying that would be the best case scenario for the Eagles from a roster building contract standpoint. It would. But again, yeah, you're right. He's got to be better if he wants to do that.
Here, I heard you and John talking about this, Zander. It's a great conversation, actually. I suggest you go back and listen to Birds 365, by the way. So John's under the impression then that this is going to be the same old with cosmetic changes, under center, motion, but the same old. And to me, I'm supposed to believe that Sean Mannion is some sort of savant because he got the quarterback playing under center like most quarterbacks do, and motion. That's why that guy's a savant?
I'm just going to say that's not John's opinion.
Okay.
John was told that by somebody. He talked to me about it off the record. I'm not going to out John, who trusted me with the information. But that was not John woke up one morning and said, oh, they're not going to do this. No. John was told by someone in the Eagles organization, a high-level executive with an executive label on their job title.
I believe him.
That this is the same old shit is the word that John used.
Same old shit putting.
That was a direct quote.
Okay. So you're putting lipstick on a pig now.
Yeah, and doesn't that quote also insinuate that maybe more people inside that organization are more fed up with that offense than we think?
So you go out and you draft a guy, move up 3 spots to get a wide receiver. You take a guy in the second pick. You pay Dontavian Wicks $14 million to do the same old shit, just with a different look.
I don't think they want to do the same old shit.
Wow. Man.
Like Rasputin says, J-Mac's wrong. Show me a wide zone scheme that's entirely reliant. Well, you're right, Rasputin. I think their point is when you know, there's
hey, don't get mad at the messenger here on John.
No, I'm just saying to his point of it, because he's right. He's right what Rasputin said. But when the bullets start flying, people go back to what they know. People go back to what they're comfortable
What's
with.
Tyson say? Everyone's got a plan to get punched in the head.
Exactly. And that's where I think it comes from, that, you know, we're all talking about these grandiose things that they're going to try and they're going to implement and they're going to be this pass. Yeah. But when the bullets start flying, probably going to be similar concepts that the quarterback likes. Probably going to be a lot of running the football, relying on that run game, hoping that offensive line can bully people and going from there. That's what I think it comes down to. I don't know for sure. We'll find out. You and me both and all the people listening. We will all find out, folks.
All right. What do you think is going to be the more difficult job for Sean Mannion to fix, the pass game or the run game?
What's more important for him to fix?
What will be a tougher job for Sean Mannion to fix, the run game or the pass game?
Well, it's more important that he fixes the run game. It's a lot harder to fix the pass game.
Think.
Yeah. How are you going to fix the pass game?
See,
Kellen Moore, the boy genius, who got Tyler Shuck playing like he's a freaking great quarterback, who had Dak Prescott 2 number 1 offenses. He couldn't get the pass game going.
But here's the one thing that you can keep that guy's job and make this guy a high-profile coordinator. What did Kellen Moore prove to you? In Philadelphia, man, you don't have to have a pass game to win a Super Bowl. If I get that run game going, dog.
You think they can win another Super Bowl like that?
If they played like that in 24 in that old line, yes, I do.
Well, what are the chances? Let me just real quick, because I agree, but what are the chances the offensive line plays like that again?
0.
Okay, so
0.
Throw that one out the window.
Well, no, I'm just saying.
I mean, there was an NFL GM that we had on our show in 2024, and he said, not only was this a historic offensive line, this might be the greatest offensive line I've ever seen in the history of football. That's what he said.
Yeah, I agree.
That's how good the offensive line was in 2024.
Yes. I mean, yes. The only thing that makes them not the Cowboys O-line, the Cowboys did it over consecutive years. You know what I'm saying? For over a 5-year period, the Cowboys won 3 Super Bowls with that offensive line. Hey, I'll tell you what, Z, if they go back to a Super Bowl this year, 3rd Super Bowl in 4 years, and they win one, and they win 2 and 4, dude. And
See,
you were at 3, you know what I mean? Then you start talking about that old line in a different conversation.
I don't know. Maybe I'm delivering it wrong, but people aren't comprehending. Brandon, you're not comprehending what I'm saying. He says, if the offense is different, I'll never believe anything J-Mac says again. You're missing the point. All right? The offense is going to be different. John's point is, when it inevitably doesn't work the way we all think it's going to work because the skill set of the players on the team is not suited to play that brand of football, they're going to try and go back to what they've done with a different packaging on it so that it confuses defenses a little bit more.
That's human nature.
This isn't that hard. Go and listen to Kirk Cousins. You know, he talked about progression reads and coverage reads last year on a thing. And he said, the entirety of my career, I've now had to change later because coaches like Vic Fangio have come along where they've disguised defenses. It's the same look, but they disguise it so it's a lot harder for me to read at the line of scrimmage, which forces me to play a different brand of football. It's the same thing offensively. You're playing the same thing. You're trying to mask it and disguise it so that defenses don't know what you're doing. That's the whole point. I don't think J-Mac is wrong about anything.
I want you to dive deeper into this. What would get Nick Sirianni fired this year?
Getting shelled in the division and winning 6 games.
What would get Jalen Hurts fired?
Same thing. Awful passing offense.
Do you think Howie could ever hurt his reputation at all in any way whatsoever with Jeffrey Lurie?
To who? Could who? Jalen?
Could Howie Roseman ever hurt his reputation?
I don't know.
With Jeffrey Lurie?
Does anybody think Howie's the problem here? Yeah, I certainly don't.
No, but okay, then it's not going to be Howie. So Nick will be the guy. Does anybody think Howie's the problem here? Okay, well let's look into that here. So
Howie.
Okay, wait, hang on for a minute. Hang on.
By the way, Reyes, we're not an Eagles channel. They don't pay me a fucking plug nickel. We're a sports channel. Either like it or get lost, them Reyes. Eagles channel. Where's my check then, Bob Lang? We're not an Eagles channel.
If this was an Eagles channel, Big Sills would have been gone a long time ago.
Eagles channel. Shut up, Reyes.
Hey, I'd have been gone a long time ago. Okay, so if this thing falls flat on its face with this quarterback for a second quarterback that they drafted, okay, and they got to go find another one, you're saying that, again, Jeffrey Lurie's not – they're going to look at Howie to rebuild the football team, find the right quarterback again, retool the offensive line, and they're going to feel comfortable with all that again.
Wow. I mean,
how about getting rid of okay, so getting rid of AJ, getting rid of Stoutland. If this thing does not go well, Howie feels no heat from that?
No.
Wow.
Dude.
What a good gig.
I know you're not a fan of Jalen Hurts' skill set, but the team has been objectively extremely successful in his era. If they need to move on from him, there is not a person on planet Earth.
That's not what I said. I asked you if you thought his reputation.
You used that
hurt.
though.
No. I said, do you think his reputation could be hurt with the owner if that guy has another bad or down year?
No, my answer is no then.
Okay.
No.
So there's nothing.
He's done too many good things. He's rebuilt the team, and Jalen Hurts' skill set is not on Howie Roseman. In fact, you can make an argument that Howie Roseman built the perfect roster around Jalen Hurts to where they could win at the level that they did, despite deficiencies in the passing game consistently year after year.
If you were the Eagles, and this, would you go after Brendan Sorsby?
No.
Why?
Because I don't like his character.
Okay. That guy would not be, he's a first-round talent.
Yeah, definitely. He's a good player.
Okay.
I mean, I don't know. I have to look a little bit more into him, but I mean, the guy wasn't like a couple bets. This guy.
No. You want to hear what he did?
I had like 1,000 bets, did he? I mean, it was a crazy.
You want to hear what he did? So he was betting that Fernando Mendoza would go under 200 yards passing. He was betting against his teammates, like $1,500.
Yeah, I mean, that's
like
crazy.
$2,000. I mean, he was betting on all that, and he's going to play this year. And Texas Tech gave him a $6 million nil deal. A $6 million nil deal. And he's coming back, and he's going to have 2-game suspension. He's going to lose. Get this. He's going to lose the Sam Houston game and the Abilene Christian game. Those are the 2 games he's going to be suspended for, and he's going to play for Texas Tech for $6 million.
Can Braden Sorsby read a defense and throw the football on time and on target?
You bet he can.
All right, then I'm interested.
That's right. There you go.
That's right. I'm sorry, Eagle fans. This is where I'm at. I mean, look, Jalen, we love you. You've done a lot for the team, but I am I'm breaking. I'm breaking on what I want in a quarterback. Maybe it's my old age. Maybe it's I'm spoiled. I don't know what the fuck it is. But the only thing I want in my it's not legs, it's not running, it's not dual threat. It's none of that crap. Can you throw the ball effectively, on time, and on target? And can you see what the defense is doing? That's all I care about. One and two. That's it. Everything else is secondary. That's how I feel right now.
I do want to ask you a couple more before we get to the supers. So A.J. Brown says he's the greatest to ever do it. I want the big Z. Mount Rushmore Eagles for you. Give me the Mount Rushmore of Eagles for you. I'll give you mine next.
Mount Rushmore of Eagles players?
For you, yeah.
All
is
time?
Now wait. Is AJ the greatest wide receiver in the history of the Philadelphia Eagles?
I don't think so.
Who's better?
Quick? Carmichael?
No way.
Quick? AJ's the most talented, but he only played here 4 fucking years, man.
Okay, so he got the numbers and he got the wins.
And if you're going off of only talent, T.O.'s not got more talent than AJ. There's no doubt. John McMullen trying to sell me that AJ Brown has more talent than Terrell Owens. That talk about J-Mac being wrong. Yeah. T.O.'s got more freaking talent than AJ Brown. Stop.
And who was the quarterback throwing him the ball? Jeff Garcia? No, it was Donovan. Donovan was throwing the ball. Donovan was throwing the ball. Okay.
Yeah, come on. Don't you remember? They fought like cats.
Right,
They fought like cats.
Donovan. Give me your 4. Give me your 4 in your lifetime. You don't have to give me all time. Those all-time lists are stupid. I want to know your Philadelphia Eagle 4 Mount Rushmore guys.
B-Dawk is easy. See, is it mine or is it
Pick anyone you want.
Be different than
pick anyone you want. Anyone you want.
Jeez. It's not that easy to do.
It's not.
You think about it. Dawkins is obviously one for me. Kind of hard for me to put a quarterback. I mean, I wouldn't put Jalen on mine.
Hell no.
I liked McNabb more than most, but obviously they didn't reach the pinnacle, and he had his own problems. Nick Foles is just not a Mount Rushmore guy. I'm sorry. No. I mean, he's not a Mount Rushmore guy. Am I only going when I'm alive?
You want my 4?
Well, wait. Am I only going when I'm alive here? Because
pick whatever you fucking want. Pick 4 Eagles that you like that you would put on the Zander Krause Mount Rushmore of Philadelphia Eagles, and is AJ Brown on that list?
No, AJ Brown is not on that list.
Okay.
Are you kidding me? It's Reggie, it's Dawkins, it's I guess McNabb, maybe. Kelsey. Is Kelsey up there?
Kelsey's up there.
Kelsey could be up there. All right, let me hear yours.
I got Reggie White, Dawkins, Westbrook's Lane
great.
Johnson.
Those are great. I'll take your list. I love it. I love it.
I
was going to put Westbrook, but I thought I'd get shit for it, honestly.
My wife was screaming downstairs, Jerome. I'm like, he didn't play long enough.
Jerome would be a good pick, though. I mean,
yeah. I would have put
right.
Jerome on there, but probably I would have to have gone with Fletcher.
See, I'm going Westbrook over Shady.
Yeah.
I like Westbrook over Shady.
I think Westbrook was a better player than Shady, and even Shady was a fabulous football player.
I freaking loved watching Westbrook. Westbrook was one of the first Eagle players that made me love football as a kid.
Me too, dude.
I loved watching.
There wasn't anything he couldn't do. Block, catch, run. Dude, how effective. And by the way, people forget, he came out of Villanova. Not a real football power. That's like a hoop school.
This is a good 4. Reggie, Doc, Lane, and Kelsey.
Kelsey could be on that list.
I mean, Kelsey did a lot, dude.
He did. I happen to think Lane is a better ball player. Listen to Dawkins' numbers here, though, and what he did as a player. or Westbrook. I'm sorry. Brian Westbrook. God, he was so good, man. I mean, dude, I can't tell you the respect level too people had for Brian Westbrook as a football player. But listen to this, Zander, and what he did. So, what was amazing was his catches. So one year in 2026, he had 1,200 yards. He had 77 catches and 700 receiving yards. The next year, he followed it up with 1,300 plus, 7 touchdowns, 90 catches for 800 yards. I mean, this guy had 4,000 receiving yards and over 450 catches and 6,000 rushing yards in Philadelphia in 9 years. I mean, he was the first, like, this is the kind of back you need now in this offense. You know that? A Brian Westbrook guy. Like, Westbrook was before Christian McCaffrey.
Yeah.
Was Christian McCaffrey.
But do you think Jalen's going to be able to throw the ball to the back that well?
No, because he couldn't do it. Here, you tell me. Did he
do
do that?
Sucked at that, right?
Well, you tell me. Did he do that at Alabama?
No.
Tua did that at Bama, right?
Yeah, I mean, Jalen, I guess, did it here and there. I mean, they didn't. Nick Saban did not ask Jalen Hurts to throw the ball down the field.
Well, let me ask you this then. That's actually a great area on the topic here. Is it Jalen can't do these things he hasn't done, or is it because they haven't asked him to do it?
Is it a little bit of both? I mean, he's never done it in his career.
Well, you know what a coach will do sometimes? A coach will have a preconceived notion about a player and go, he can't do that, so we're not doing it. Even though the player may develop into doing something that, hey, I can do this. Is it Nick stubbornness going like this? I don't believe the quarterback can do this.
I think the hard part about that question is differentiating what traits you can develop and what traits are kind of inherent. Like, there are people out there who think Jalen's not going to get this because that's not, you don't just become a good passer at 28 years old. Some people might say you can. So I think it would depend on who. I think it would depend on who, like how you would discuss each trait. Can you develop it or are you born with it?
Do you think he's going to get better? Do you think he's going to get better as a passer this year? That you're going to see a significant difference in him being able to throw the ball? Do you believe that in your heart? See, I don't. I don't know that I do either. I think he can be more effective, but I don't think you're going to see a change in skill set. No. How about a different target skill set would help him? Tight ends and back.
Maybe. I don't know. I'm not the right guy to ask this because I almost want to get like a guy like Doug back on for that, or like even like Nick Foles, like somebody that can speak on what type when you're a quarterback. Should we get Tressman back on again? He would be great. Like what skill sets do you view as something that you can get better at versus something that's just kind of who you are? Again, Brady never was like, I'm going to develop into a 4.5 runner and be a dual threat. No, let's get Kurt Warner on again. Let's get Kurt Warner on. Kurt would be great. Yeah. Kurt's awesome. Let's read these supers. Let's read these supers, brother. Look at this dweeb. Ricardo says, Anna, you'll be crying soon enough. You're part of the ungrateful group. Hey, Ricardo, I got news for you. I got a lot more going on in life that doesn't revolve around whether a bunch of men in tights throwing a ball around a field in South Philly, whether they win the game or lose the game. Ricardo, kiss my ass. Are you nervous? For what? Okay, go ahead. What do you mean? Are you getting nervous at all? What, for my wedding? Yeah. No. I mean, I'm not a big fan of the whole thing where I got to like be the center of attention. I also hate dancing. So I got to like dance. That's tragic. I'm going to give you a little advice. Wait, you want to hear the curveball the priest threw at us too? Oh, 4:30. It's 4:30. It's not 5:30 he doesn't have the link, he says. I know. Oh, it's 5:30. I'll send him in now. Okay. Good.
I thought it was 5:30. Let's get these supers, dude.
All right, yeah, we got a bunch of them too. You want to hear the curveball the priest threw at me?
Oh God!
You know how the priest normally?
You have to bless the wedding.
No, you know how you normally like repeat after the officiant of your wedding, like they say the vow and then you repeat after them.
Yeah.
Well, the priest was like, "No, we don't. I don't do that. So I'm going to move aside. You have to memorize your vows and then you have to say them first." I was like, "What?" So now I got to like memorize it and everything. All right, here we go. Marsh says, Sills is unreasonable. Can Cooper take a 7th rounder and build him up? Stop holding our players to this ridiculous standard, my guy. You be reaching hard.
Well, Mulata's a $35 million a year guy. Let's see if your boy, Chrissy Cooper.
He is right, though. That you're holding him to. I mean, most line coaches aren't taking 7th rounders.
Bro,
Marshall says, FAJ, he should have said, "Oh, he's loafing." He was horrible with separation last year.
Oh, he's loafing. Oh, he's loafing. Oh my God!
All right, you want to get to Cole? He probably. We have too many supers to read. I can't.
All right, then come back on and we'll read them after. Is that cool? Can you do that?
Yeah, I probably can.
All right, bro. We'll see you in a couple minutes there. So let me hook you up on this. I can't. So AJ Brown went back into the building. I can't wait to get Jason Cole's take on this. AJ went back into the building and said, "Greatest Eagle to ever do it." He went in back in Monday and said, "The greatest Eagle to ever do it." That means to me Hall of Fame kind of stuff. So let's get to our Hall of Fame voter. Our friend, he is a man that we love for over 30 years, man. He is Jason Cole, and he joins us now here on the program. All right, I want you to talk Philly off the ledge here. Do you think the Eagles are going to be okay without A.J. Brown, or do you think they take a significant step back without that player on their team?
I'm looking up his stats about this whole greatest to ever do it.
Greatest to ever do it.
Do what?
I'm assuming greatest Eagle to ever play in Philadelphia, or greatest wide receiver to ever play in Philadelphia. By the way, folks, this, in case you don't know, this is a Hall of Fame voter. So, Jace, yeah, he's the greatest to ever do it. You fill in the blank.
I don't know what he's referring to.
All right, well, let's take both.
Right, let's the greatest Eagle of all time. Wow, like no. Greatest wide receiver. Like I take 1 year of I mean, that's not fair. But T.O. probably had a better year. His single year there was, well, his time there was, he was a better player than A.J. Brown.
T.O. was a better player in your opinion than A.J.
Yeah, he's a better player than A.J. Brown. Now he didn't finish the job, and A.J. Brown did finish the job. But T.O.'s a better player. Harold Carmichael, like Hall of Fame. Right, like I'm not even a big huge Harold Carmichael fan, but you know, like
Mike Quick.
Mike Quick, he's probably even with Mike Quick. You know, Randall Cunningham's up there. You know, even though he's not a Hall of Famer, but you got concrete chart.
Come on, Reggie Bednarik, Dawkins.
Yeah, I mean Reggie White. Yeah, I mean he's not.
No.
He's not. I mean, he's not Jerome Brown. I mean,
no,
he's not Clyde Simmons. I mean, maybe Clyde Simmons. That
you
might
think
be
he's better than Seth?
Who?
Seth Joyner.
Yeah, he's a better player than Seth Joyner. Yeah, I'd say that. I mean, Seth had some moments. Now, I mean, he had some moments. But you know, look again. AJ Brown won a Super Bowl and played a pretty vital role, and important. But he's not better than Saquon. Saquon's a better player, right? Like, let's just be honest.
If you were going to debate a Hall of Fame guy, Jason, would it be Saquon or AJ?
It's probably Saquon because he's got a singular better year than. I mean, look, AJ's only got he's got less than 600 catches. Like, he's not even close to Hall of Fame. He's not. I mean, it's not even. It's like 600, less than 600 catches for 8,000 yards. Like he's not Mark Duper or Mark Clayton. And those guys can't get. I mean, Clayton actually has a legitimate argument.
Wait a minute, you're comparing him to like Flipper Anderson now.
No. I said Mark Clayton and Mark Duper. Those guys.
I got it.
Those guys were legit. Those guys were legit.
They were.
Okay?
They were.
But he's on a level of very good.
Would you put him on the level of Andre Rison?
He's better. I mean, Andre, you couldn't trust, right?
Right.
Like, I mean, Andre when he played was an animal, and was awesome, great player. But he didn't show. I mean, or his house was literally on fire. Left
eye burned his house down. That's the fact.
Yeah, I mean, Dre just wasn't. Dre, if he was focused for a period of time, was an amazing player, but he was never focused for a long period of time. He had that moment with Green Bay, did some amazing things, but other than that, Dre was a waste of talent. AJ's achieved more than that, and I trust AJ. Again, when I start saying Mark Clayton, Mark Duper, those guys had accomplished careers. Hall of Famers, no, but accomplished careers.
Did you put Sterling Sharp in?
I voted for him.
Okay. Based on injury, right?
He was the best. He was the best guy on that ballot, and the rules are you have to vote for somebody. So he's the guy I voted for in that group. I'm trying to remember who that was in that group, but I voted for him because he was the best guy. There are certain rules you have to follow. I'm not sure that
I thought he was too. I thought at his time in the game, I think he was on pace with Rice, with all the targets.
Yeah, a lot of people can be on pace with Rice for a short period of time, and then all of a sudden it fades. I mean, Rice is still 50% better than the next best guy on almost everything. Catches, yards, touchdowns. He's ridiculous. I mean, he did to the position in the modern era what Don Hudson did to it, 80 years ago or whatever. I can't remember the years Hudson played in the 20s and 30s. But that's the kind of thing that Jerry Rice did. And that's why you can make an argument that Jerry Rice is the greatest player of all time.
He is.
I don't agree with that necessarily, but I think he's the greatest at a period of time. Okay.
Does this make sense? I think he's the greatest offensive weapon, non-quarterback of all time.
I think that's a very fair assessment. Jim Brown would, there's a good argument for Jim Brown, but I think he accomplished more than Jim Brown.
Well, I looked at it this way. I looked at it that if you look at Rice's career, he probably averaged 5 catches a game, which is 5 times he touched the ball, and he had over 200 touchdowns. Mm-hmm. There's not a human being on the planet that's going to have 200 touchdowns touching the football 5 times a game.
No, he is one of the most unique scoring and efficiency. He was gifted in certain ways, but he wasn't gifted with the things that you generally look for. He wasn't a pure speed guy. He was faster. He could outrun anybody because he had competitive speed. But if you're just talking about 40 times, I mean, it's famous that he had a bad 40 time.
4.8.
Real. Well, it wasn't real, and all those other things. And he ran.
What's funny, Jason? He ran a 4.8 at the combines. They were looking at Rooster Jones, the kid from Pitt. Bill Walsh told me the story. Jason, after I talked to Walsh, I told him, I go, what's funny? The guy ran a 4.75, 4.8. He goes, I know, it was terrible. And I go, you know what? I never remember Rice ever getting caught from behind. Ever getting caught from behind.
Yeah, I think a couple of guys like Darryl Green, I think caught him once, and I think Dion caught him once. But it took guys who had guys who were borderline Olympic, Olympic speed guys. So yeah, I mean it happened, but not very often.
You think Eagles are going to suffer not having AJ on that team?
Yeah, I mean he fills a role that is unique. He's the power receiver in that offense. I mean, again, you're talking about a valuable guy. Devontae Smith doesn't do what he does. Dallas Goedert doesn't do what he does. They don't have another guy who does what he does. Now, I would have traded him still, getting a first and another pick back for him at this age, at this time in his career. And given that I don't think, they don't get along. I mean, it's clear that they weren't going to make this work, right? So if they're not going to make it work, you got to move on. And he wasn't going to make it work. I mean, I think it's come out plainly obvious that he wasn't going to make it work. Okay, move on. Get a 1 and move on. But if you're talking about pure football, in the balance of in keeping a safety honest, they don't have anybody who can really keep a safety honest right now and occupy a safety and keep that guy from occupying space with Saquon. Now, they weren't great at it last year either because, again, Jalen doesn't do a good job of getting the ball down the field, in progressions. So they already had some problems with it. But at least you had the weapon that when the defensive coordinator has to draw up the game plan, right? He's going, okay, A.J. Brown, problem, what's our solution? Right? Like, not Hollywood Brown. Okay, we got that. Like like it's two very different conversations.
I want you to do me a favor then, because the big debate, and I've had a strong debate here today with folks and all through the week. I don't think Devontae Smith is a legitimate number 1. And
he's not. He's not. But he's a good. He's a good 2 quad, and he can fill in. Like he can fill in the number 1
he can fill that role.
No, what I want to say is he can fill the role for periods of time. Do you know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah,
you can, but you have to have help for him on the other side. It's sort of like when Reggie Wayne took over, when Marvin Harrison quit and Reggie Wayne became the number 1 guy. Yeah, he was the number 1 guy, but they were always working to make sure they had a guy opposite him who could play, not necessarily a Hall of Famer like Marvin, but they made sure that they got guys. They made sure that they were well stocked at that position.
That's a great comparison.
Right. Like, and so Reggie, and again, if you tell me Devontae Smith ends up having a Reggie Wayne career, I'm doing backflips.
He's not going to have a Reggie Wayne career.
No, he's not as big and he's not as physical, but he has other attributes that work. Again, he doesn't overwhelm a defense. When you're a defensive coordinator and you're drawing up a defense and you're saying, how do we stop this guy? How do we stop this guy? How do we stop this guy? How do we stop this combination of things that they do? When you look at A.J. Brown, you're saying, okay, well, let's make sure that the safety is there and aware of where he is. Because if we make a mistake, A.J. Brown can really hurt us. With Devontae Smith, it's like, okay, be aware of what he does. And as long as we've got Brown under control or we know what's going on over there, okay, then we'll eventually help with Smith. But Smith doesn't compel the safety to react all the time. Okay, you check him, but you're not like planning for him, if that makes sense.
Yeah, totally. I mean,
yeah, and it's the same thing. So, and maybe I'm wrong about this, and some people may disagree, but I see a guy who is a lightweight possession receiver with slightly better speed than your typical possession guy. Right? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
He can outrun most possession guys, and that's why he's a better version of those possession guys, but he's really the possession guy in what they're trying to do.
So here's your point here too. When you had to go to a number 2 guy, here's Reggie Wayne. 12-10, 1,100 yards, 13-10, 15-10 led the NFL, 11-45, 13-64, 13-78. This is all playing on the other side of Marvin Harrison. 13.
Were those the same years together? I mean, Harrison was still there.
Marvin.
Yeah.
So, I mean, the majority of these years was him playing on the other side. And let's not forget, Richie Wayne has 15,000 receiving yards and 1,100 receptions. And this guy's not in the Hall of Fame.
Reggie Wayne will be in the Hall of Fame one day. When? I don't know. We've talked about that. That's a different subject. But I don't think Devontae Smith is going. I don't think he's that kind of player. He is that kind of player as a complement to a really good number one receiver. And they don't have a really good number one receiver anymore because he's gone to New England. But you can whine and complain about it all the time, but AJ Brown wasn't going to play for you this year. It was not going to happen. So the only thing that you can second guess the Eagles on this, whether it's Howie, or whoever, is should you have made this trade before the draft that would have put you in position to get one of the receivers who was in this draft, so you could have filled that position earlier. That's the debate that you really have, and that may be tough. They may have not been offering that before the draft because I don't know how
cap hits plus the cap hits were high.
Yeah, I mean, it's, like there's some triggers in here that make it hard.
Yeah.
So this is the circumstance they're in.
By the way, AJ's not better than Chris Carter. If you want to go down that.
No, he's not better than Chris Carter. No, he's not. And I wouldn't argue that he's better than Chris Carter. He has the ability to eventually be better than Chris Carter if a lot of things come together. Like they're not.
If Drake May turns out to be that guy.
There's not this huge gap in overall talent, but there's a huge gap in results, and Chris Carter has the results. And maybe that's the whole point of AJ Brown. What he was talking about is I want to go someplace where I can produce those numbers and do the things I want to do for my sake. And again, I understand it, and that's how athletes are. They're goal oriented, they're achievement oriented. But I want guys who are like, how many rings do I have? How do I get my next ring? And that's another reason why it's like it's time to move on. He served his purpose. He did what he was supposed to do.
Was his success.
Right. Like, you can be unhappy all you want with AJ Brown, but I would look back and go, look, the guy got us to a couple Super Bowls and we won one. Like that's a big deal. That's a successful run for a guy. And just, he's just not the leader guy. He's not a guy who's going to sacrifice for you.
No, not at all.
And that's why this Eagles team has a real problem, because they don't have a lot of guys who are willing to sacrifice themselves for the betterment of the team. Jalen Carter is not that guy. Jalen Carter is the guy who thinks it's okay to spit on a guy in the first play of a game and put your team at risk of getting kicked out. You're a knucklehead. Okay. Jalen Hurts is not a guy who's like rallying guys together. AJ Brown, not that guy. Like, they don't have that guy. When they lost Fletcher Cox, and I know I've said this 100 times, if I've said it once, when they lost Fletcher Cox and they lost Jason Kelsey, they lost two guys who sacrificed for the betterment of themselves, and throw Brandon Graham into that too.
I've got to ask you about this Brendan Sorsby story in the National Football League. This is one of the only times I've ever sided with the NCAA. I got to tell you, man, here's a dude that
he gambled on the sport.
No, not only that, but he bet against his team to win.
He gambled on the sport. Whatever you do, you gambled on the sport. You gambled on the outcome of games, whether it's to win or to lose or whatever it is. You crossed a line that it's just unacceptable. Just unacceptable. He'll never play in the NFL. He's done. The fact that he's playing in college is just a statement about Texas level corruption that's bigger than the state. Like, this is insanity to sign off, for a judge to sign off on this kid playing college football. Even if the judge would have, possibly, been wrong about the law. There's certain things that you just cannot allow to happen.
He's a Texas Tech alum, Jace.
Bottom line, this can't happen. It's an abomination to the sport. that this kid is going to play. It's just, and the people in Texas, the people around the country should look and say, what are we doing? And I know they come up with this thing, oh, he has an anxiety disorder that's function. Well, if he has an anxiety disorder that leads to him gambling, all the more reason he shouldn't play. Not an excuse. That's not an excuse to wash away the gambling. It's an excuse to say you're not fit to play this sport. I'm sorry, you might be a really good kid. You're a good athlete, obviously, right? You have a place in football, but unfortunately, you forfeited that place in football. You don't belong on the field. That's as simple as it gets. This goes against. I mean, I'm just stunned that any judge with any lick of sense would choose even his alma mater over something so obvious to everyone who participates in sports.
I read the judge's
opinion.
Yeah, I read it, and his position was this. Well, wait a minute. If he doesn't have his eligibility, that means he can't make his nil money, and it will do irreparable harm to him having a shot to making it to the NFL. And I was like, well, wait a minute.
He ain't playing in the NFL.
What about the egregious acts of gambling and all of that? You see, there's no rule and there's no leadership in college sports right now. And that's why it's the wild, wild west. And
look,
there's
you
no
don't
rules.
You don't need leadership to know that gambling on the sport that you play is simply wrong. You don't need leadership to know that this is morally and ethically wrong. You just need common sense. You need to not be worried about your whether your team's going to be good this year, but whether the sport has actual integrity. You should have, furthermore, you should have recused yourself as a judge because you're a Texas Tech alum. If you had 1 ounce of integrity, but the judge has no integrity, he has no thought pattern. He only cares about whether he's going to have a good time watching his team play on Saturdays and whether they're going to go to some bowl game or whether they're going to do this or they're going to do that. It's disgusting and it shouldn't happen. And
it was heard in Lubbock County.
I'm just telling you,
the school is in Lubbock County.
I know. I know this is home cooking. I know, and the guy was probably under pressure because he lives in the area to give him this ruling so that he didn't, people didn't egg his house. But that's why he should have recused himself.
Yeah, but the problem with that is, Jason, the problem with that is the other judges that are in line in that county, 90% of them went to Texas Tech. So if they get the NCAA wants a new judge, they're going to get the same guy.
Well, then they should have an emergency hearing of the next court up. And now they've set, I think they've set the next hearing for February. Oh yeah, that's great. The kid's going to get to
the bowl. That's after the bowl games,
right? Look, this kid's lucky he's not in jail. I mean, he's really lucky he's not in jail.
He's lucky he's not dead if he was messing with the wrong guys. When you're gambling the way he's gambling,
you gamble legally and all that other stuff. But like, if I'm a teammate, how do you line up next to a guy who's gambled against his own team?
You don't.
How do you not beat the tar out of him?
You don't.
What do you mean you bet against us? You bet against your own guys. Like, how do you go hang out with that guy?
No, you don't.
You don't. Like this guy would. I mean. He shouldn't be on the team for a myriad of reasons. But the number one thing is your own guys can't trust that you're on the up and up. The own dudes that you line up with who are supposed to block and catch for you and supposed to work out with you and do all those things, you bet against those dudes. How do they trust you?
You don't.
Right. They should be beating the snot out of you.
I'm
Right?
with
Like,
you.
I mean, could you imagine if you were at UM and like the quarterback told you, "Hey guys, I laid a bet against you guys." Like the guy would have been like thrown to the alligators.
Let me tell you one quick story. Hey, Jason. So after the Fiesta Bowl game, when Vinny threw that sixth pick,
Yeah.
Linesel Highsmith got up in the middle of the locker room. This has never been told. Got up in the locker room, and I'll tell you a locker room story here. Alonzo would be the third pick in the draft that April.
Yeah.
We're sitting there, and we played our asses off. Every guy in there.
You almost won a game despite 6 picks.
No, we had 100. We gave up 150 yards in total offense, and we gave up only 6 first downs. I'm sitting there. I'm looking at Jerome, and we're just like, Alonzo jumps up and goes, "I want to tell you, 21 dudes played their asses off, and one guy has to check himself at the door when he leaves, and make sure, dude, you close the door on the way out when we're done." And I sat there and I went, "Holy shit!" He goes, would you have money on this game or something?" He threw 6 picks all year. He threw 6 in one game, and we're sitting there, and I started looking at Jerome. Jerome goes, "You think he threw this thing?" And I'm like, I don't know.
Right. And so, I mean, like, again.
And now you got a guy that's admitting to it? Yeah, no, that's not going to work.
Oh, could you imagine? Oh, yeah, guys, I bet against this. Like, how many guys just get up and punch him?
We almost killed Vinny there for that.
Right. And Vinny just had,
had a bad night.
Vinny had a bad night in what turned out to be a precursor to what his career was.
Completely true.
As a pro. Okay. Vinny was what Vinny was.
Yep.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Talented guy, really, when the pressure was on, couldn't play.
That's right.
And not a bad dude, but just couldn't
grew for 54,000 yards in the NFL too, and played 24 years.
Had a really
okay career.
Yeah, he played a long time. He did yeoman's work. Okay, but he just wasn't good. He wasn't that good, right? And you found out. And but at least like this kid Sorsby. I mean, I couldn't play with the guy.
You think he never gets? They've labeled him a first round pick.
He has 0. What is the one thing that the NFL is scared? And this is they're terrified.
Gambling.
Terrified. I mean, I can't spell it. You can't put it in big enough letters. You could have a billboard, and you just
do
terrified.
No, they have a billboard of a guy in all locker rooms, as you know. He's in there. You think?
Yeah, but I'm talking about like you could have a billboard in a city.
Yeah.
You can have a billboard, like driving along. NFL is terrified of gambling, of the idea that anybody would throw a game. They're terrified.
They are.
I mean, like they're so scared that anything like this would ever happen. I mean, because it would tear everything apart.
I got one more here for you.
Okay, go.
Are you as twisted and bent over as everyone else is about the Bears moving 17 miles down there from Soldier Field to Hammond, Indiana?
I just, like it's obviously not as bad as the Raiders leaving Oakland. That was a really bad. Or Cleveland, the Browns moving out of Cleveland.
Or even the Chargers leaving San Diego and going to LA. That was pretty bad.
It's not like that. Okay, they're still going to be there. It's a 17-mile drive. But there's something kind of like, really, like, you guys can't work this out. Like, you can't, like, seriously, like, between the team and trust me, I know that the McCaskey family, which is the heirs of George Halas, they're nice people, but they don't have a lot of great business savvy.
No, not at all.
They don't have the kind of deep pockets that you really need.
They're the only NFL team that doesn't own their own stadium.
Right. And so, like, they don't have the imagination. They don't have the political gravitas in Chicago, despite owning the Bears. Like George Halas had gravitas. He could move things if he needed to move things. Now it was a different time and a different day, admittedly. And everything was much more infantile when George was in his heyday. But George McCaskey, his grandson, just doesn't have it. He didn't. You meet the man. It's like you can't go into rooms with politicians and say, "Hey, how do we do this? What are we doing here? Like, how do we make this happen?" And I want to do this. They always come back to, "Oh, here's a threat." It's always some threat to get the politicians to move, rather than, "Hey, how do we work together and make it so that we can be competitive and we can be in downtown?" And there should be a solution for them. Now, I also know that Soldier Field is a hunk of junk. Like they put a spaceship on top of a 100-year-old stadium, and it's just weird and stupid. Okay, I know that's true, and that was that was a Band-Aid solution for a long time, and it's a terrible Band-Aid. But like there's got to be a different way to do this. There's the land exists right there on the lake. This is where they should be. They are the Chicago Bears. They are the second oldest franchise in the NFL. The only one that's older is their number one rival. They trace their history to the Decatur Staleys, right? Like you write the history of the NFL with the Chicago Bears. They belong in Chicago. Okay, that's it. Find a solution. Stop jerking everybody around. Understand the importance of this team. We're not talking about the San Diego Chargers, who've been around since 1960 and started in Los Angeles and ended up back there. We're not even talking about the Raiders, who started in the 60s. We're talking about a team that started in 1920.
Yep.
We're talking about a piece of American sports history. And if the people who are involved in this do not have the understanding of that and the imagination to make it work, it just baffles me. It just baffles me that they're going to let them go. And I know it's not that far away, but still,
I agree.
State. It looks so cheap, and it looks so cheesy. I don't know if it's petty or not. It's just cheap and cheesy on everybody's behalf. They belong in Chicago. You should be able to be in downtown Chicago, go to a game, and everybody should pour out of there after a big win, and hit the bars and hit the streets. And that should be how it is. Not make them a team.
Yeah, but how come Goodell's not saying what you're saying?
Because Goodell's a cold-hearted businessman.
So okay, he thinks in the best interest, Jason, of the Shield is to move the Bears to Hammond, Indiana.
Look, you don't understand what Roger is. Roger is a pure leverage business guy, and that has been what he was told to do his entire career. Because when he took over from Tagliabue, those guys said, "Make us rich." Make us richer than we've ever been. And he made them promises. I'm going to make you richer than you have ever been. And he did it. So the things that have been successful for Roger are leverage, big business decisions, moving billions of dollars. Okay. He's not going to be the guy who necessarily leads this, although he does in his own heart understands the value of this. I think if he got up and he said to McCaskey, "You got to find a way to fix this," but he would do it privately. Don't leave Chicago. Don't do this. We it's like the LA Rams and the Chargers are only starting to gain more of a foothold because they are in downtown. Okay, they don't train there necessarily. They still train out in, well, I take that back. The Chargers are training in LA.
Yeah.
But the Rams aren't. The Rams are still a suburb team. All right. But they're getting a little bit more of a foothold because they're actually in LA. It's Inglewood. I know it's technically Inglewood, but that's that's part of the fabric of Los Angeles, and it's helping them. It's helped.
It's where the Lakers used to play.
Yeah, it's right across the parking lot from where the Lakers played. So they're in LA. They're an LA team. And Chicago needs to stay a Chicago team. The Giants and the Jets, they made their conversion 50 years ago and everybody got used to it. But it's still, it's still kind of stupid.
It is.
But there was no place to have a stadium in Manhattan. It wasn't going to work.
My uncle was general manager of the Giants when they moved out of Yankee Stadium, and then for a year they went up to New Haven, and they played in New Haven for a year until the Meadowlands was built. And the reason why they moved over across the bridge was because New Jersey gave them free tax breaks, and New York was not going to give them tax breaks. And like you said, there was no place to build it unless it was going to be down on next to the railroad tracks down there, next to the ocean, and next to the Hudson, I should say. And that's not where the Giants wanted. Wellington Mayer didn't want to go down there. He wanted to go somewhere else. I can't remember.
Well, he wanted to have
in Manhattan. I think he wanted something in Manhattan or something. I don't know.
He did, but they, ultimately what they did get was they got a place that people could tailgate.
Yeah,
and that, and make it into an event. And you could say, oh, the Bears want the same thing. They have that. They have that at Soldier Field. They have a place where people can tailgate. They have a place where people can have a good time. They have a place that's in the fabric right there in the heart of Chicago. And they need to stay in the heart of Chicago as much as they possibly can.
Okay, I'm going to end it with this, though, because I'm going to get back to Philly on this. The last one here, Jace. Okay, so if the Chicago Bears can move, and you just talked about leverage, and Jeffrey Lurie doesn't get what he wants with his renovations and potentially a new stadium, doesn't that open up for every other city to be put on notice that if the Bears can move out of Chicago and the commissioners using leverage, that somebody could move that Philadelphia Eagles team to Camden, New Jersey, if you got the right deal?
Well, yeah.
Okay.
I mean, look, every city is being held hostage. We know that.
Every city's now, because if the Bears can move out of Chicago and the there's that's leverage you're talking about.
Yeah, it's the leverage you're talking about. Look, I don't see Lurie going to do that, but I think that the Philly will acquiesce. Look, they've dedicated a lot to sports over the past 60 years, right?
Yeah.
They built 2 stadiums. They went from having the old vet and they invested in sports.
Early 70s, they went out of Franklin Field.
They have traditionally invested in sports and making sure that they had the right places for people. So I expect that there is a way to politically work this out. That hasn't happened necessarily in Chicago the way it should, which is the part of the political problem. It's not just the Bears. When I talk about the Bears, I'm not saying it's only the fault of the McCaskies. It is the fault of the politicians in Chicago not having forethought. But the people in Philly have more forethought about how they want to do sports. They've constructed something and they've invested in baseball. Whereas with Chicago, they've had 2 stadiums there for baseball. One of them, the Ricketts family just keeps, buying up more and more of the area around Wrigley, right? So, that's more, that's established, those areas. This is a different thing. They've got to come up with an interesting solution to the football problem, because Soldier Field doesn't work. I would just say this: Soldier Field, I know that some people would just be aghast at this, but take it off of the National Historic Site list.
Oh,
tear it down.
Really?
What they turned it into with the spaceship is it's ungodly. I mean, keep a facade or something. It's like
they have the old facade, and they
have the old facade. Right. They have like do that and do something with that and build, but tear the rest of it down. It's like what they should have done with the LA Coliseum.
I never thought of what you said though about Chicago and the stadiums, because you're right. The Cubs are buying Waveland Avenue, homes and businesses back there behind.
And they've owned it for 100 years.
Remember, they didn't own the apartments across where people could sit out there and watch. So they bought all that stuff. And the only stadium that's ever been really fixed and rebuilt has been Comiskey Park, because they've never really done anything other.
Yeah,
they've never. The Bears played at Wrigley and Soldier Field. That's where they played, right, their entire time.
I don't know if there was any time that they played at Comiskey.
Maybe Northwest, not Comiskey, Wrigley and but
I don't know. I know that they play. I know for a fact that they played at Wrigley. That's true. I know that for a fact. I don't know if there was ever any time that they played at Comiskey. Although the South Side was way back when, that was Cardinals section of town.
Yeah.
Right? So the South Side was the Cardinals side of town. So early on there wasn't a reason to go down there. You were until the Cardinals moved and went to St. Louis, and then ultimately to Arizona.
Folks, do me a favor. If you're getting into Central Florida, make sure you get over to the Bagel Bakery, my friend's operation.
A lot of Eagles fans, baby. A lot of
Eagles fans. Jason says they all roll in there. And if you go in there,
Sarah from Philly, she comes in she lives in Philly. This is how great we are. I'm going to brag a little bit. Sarah from Philly, I'm not going to say her last name, but she flies down to Gainesville because she grew up here. She comes down about once every 2 months. She comes to my place. She buys a bunch of bagels. She takes them back to Philly, and she takes care of it that way.
Huh? So here it is.
Sarah from Philly, big time.
4113 Northwest 16th Boulevard, Gainesville, Florida 32605. Make sure you go see my friend's operation. He is one of the best people I know. Jason, thank you always so much for taking time. Love you very much. Thank you, my friend.
See you, dude.
You got it. Jason Cole. Make sure you check him out when you go there too, my friends. All right, this is what we're going to do. I'm going to take a timeout, and then we're going to come back because he's going to come back, and we're going to read these supers. Want to take and give you a little bit of this, though. My friends at Morgan & Morgan, the #1 injury law firm in all of America for a reason. That is because they win. With over $20 billion recovered, there is nobody like Morgan & Morgan if you've ever been injured on the job. Tell you about the family in Pennsylvania that was initially offered $650K. They got nearly $30 million in settlement. Or the family in Florida, they got initially offered $350,000. They got nearly $12 million in settlement. Go to forthepeople.com/big sales or pound law 529. That's forthepeople.com/big sales or pound law 529. And do me a favor. You tell them Big Sales sent you.
There's a reason Detective Johnson is the gossip king.
Oh, did you hear? Jackie and Tom
are getting a divorce? Mm-hmm. Sad.
Well, I heard that Ashley
had work done on her face? Yeah, oof.
Just like there's a reason Morgan & Morgan is America's largest injury law firm. Injured? With over $25 billion recovered for our clients, there's a reason to go big.
Bathroom? Okay.
Morgan & Morgan, America's largest injury law firm.
Oh, okay.
Ignite your nights with free live entertainment daily, only at Live Casino and Hotel Philadelphia's Center Bar. 7 days a week, enjoy some of the region's top party bands, performers, and DJs as they take the stage in the heart of the casino action. Great cocktails, live music, and lively moments. It's all happening at Center Bar at Live Casino and Hotel Philadelphia. Visit livecasinophilly.com for more details and the complete list of upcoming events. Must be 21 or older. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
This is Eric. When he got injured in a car accident, he called Morgan & Morgan. He not only gets a lawyer, he gets trial lawyers like Sam and Jessica who are in it to win it. He gets his own investigators with briefcases, leather ones. And if you ever have questions, our customer service folks keep things rolling. Injured? We're your army. Morgan & Morgan, America's largest injury law firm.
Welcome to the Jet Setters and the High Rollers, to the Shot Takers and the Tastemakers. Welcome to the Viewfinders the thrill seekers, and the night owls. Welcome to everything you could possibly want on one 5-mile island. Welcome to the Wildwoods. Book your stay today.
In our hometown, we all look out for each other. We go the extra mile to lend a helping hand.
Thank you.
We step up to keep our communities going strong. And at Independence Blue Cross, we're here to keep you going strong. We've been deeply rooted in our communities for more than 85 years. And that connection to members has earned us our spot as the #1 health insurer in the region. So while you look out for your neighbors, know IBX is always looking out for you.
Blocked well and tries to cut through the middle. Oh!
Your gut says Miami is going to win, and you should take the over. Your gut also said your NFT selfies would only go up in value. They didn't. But your head is on Sports Grid and knows the QB is in concussion protocol. The backup has a 45 QBR against the zone coverage. The New York D has the most sacks in the league. So yeah, trust your head. It's smarter to be on Sports Grid.
EAGLES. Eagles.
Jesus criminy. There's a full-out press. PR by the Eagles. This is ridiculous, man. Just let it happen. We're going to read your supers here in a minute. So John Clark is quoting Lane Johnson. Lane Johnson says he's always wanted to play in an offense like this. Like what? He has mostly been on an island as a right tackle, but he says the guards will be helping him out a lot now. He thinks that will really help the offense. He says there will be more disguises so defenses can't pick up tells. He feels the running game will be better because you can stretch the defense and make them run more. Lane says he's very excited to play in Sean Mannion's offense, and Sean is super smart. I'll tell you, man, that's quite a PR campaign going on. I can't wait to play in a guy's offense that's never been in existence before. I can't. Holy shit. Man, they're not even good actors. Hey, I can't wait to play in this. Have you ever seen it? No. But what he has on the chalkboard, this is good. Hold on. I got to take a shot of whiskey. All right, let's read these supers. Big Z's back in the building here, man.
What up, Sills? You ready to rumble?
I am. Dude, Lane Johnson giving you a nice little PR about the greatest offense in the history of Philadelphia.
For what, 12 years? Of course he's going to gas the team up. I'm looking at these supers. Marshall's got quite a few of them. Marsh, thanks for the support of the channel.
You bet.
I disagree. Every big game when Mr. Loaf was pouting or faking Hurts, Smitty touched people. We've seen that over and over. I was watching something different.
AJ Brown, he's talking about Mr. Loaf. I think hey, Marsh, I'm not going to disagree. I think he checked out last year.
Yeah, he did.
I do.
His emotions seeped into his play. That's the problem. As a man, you can't let that happen.
But Zander, that's what it said on his pre-draft stuff. That's
not an excuse.
It's not, but he's not going to change who he is.
That's fair. Riot says the real question is who's the quarterback if Jalen gets booted and Nick stays? Who's going to be quarterback one? And if Nick gets booted, who's the head coach? I don't see any upcoming stars out there.
Bro, they're not moving off of Jalen Hurts. Look, it's a great conversation whether or not you think they'll bench him this year. But they're not going to.
No, I don't think so either. Here's Marsh. Cowboys fans swallow Dakota milk like y'all leader basement Marky Mark. Only way y'all take over this show is if Zander and Sills block me. Y'all stink just like your team. I laugh at you bums. Marsh, I'm not blocking you. I disagree with you.
No, yeah, Marsh, we're not blocking you, man. That's not happening.
Here's Kimberly. AJ, you are not the best to do it. Not even close. POS.
Well,
all right.
hey, you know what they are doing in here though? They're doing a little bit of denial. They're all like saying that Devontae Smith's a better football player than that guy, and he's not.
I'll see what Smitty can do. I'm with you. Here's Mike. What's up, Mike? Ping 92. If Hurts can't adapt and they revert back to the same offense as last year, Mannion can't be fully graded. Well, I agree.
Yeah, but wait. If they go back to doing what they did before, why was Mannion hired then? To go back to what they did before?
They're trying. Let's see. Marsh says, so you're telling me this is not an Eagles channel? It all makes sense now. Wow. Oh, what, Marsh? You want me to butter you up more? Marsh, I never took it for a guy like you. Look like you got the Eagle hat on. You got a big grizzly beard. What, do you need to be buttered up? What are you, a big teddy bear, Marsh?
Come on, AJ Marsh. What's going on here, man?
Marshall Owens or Marshall Brown?
Come on. AJ Marshall. What are you doing
Brown.
here?
That's what it is now.
Come on, man.
Marshall Brown. You hate to say it. No more Marshall Chambers.
Jesus Christ.
Here's Ryan. Zay, we don't need choir boys. Can you run fast, jump high, make tackles, and catch the ball? That's it. I'm with you, Ryan.
No, I don't give a shit what you're thinking. I don't care either.
Marsh says, Mount Rushmore of Eagles without any of the team's only Super Bowl MVP quarterbacks is nasty work and shows the clear bias. Marsh, Jalen Hurts is not a Mount Rushmore player in Philadelphia. Stop it.
So what, Nick Foles should be on that list too then? So Nick Foles is
Well, he's saying that neither of them are on there.
So you think because a guy won a Super Bowl MVP, that makes him a better football player than Donovan McNabb?
Jalen Hurts is not a Mount Rushmore in Philly guy.
Not even remotely near it, man.
Come on, man.
No way.
Come on, man.
He's not even the best player. He's not even the best player in his own huddle.
Mr. Hill says Cunningham was the most exciting Eagle. I could see that.
Yes, he is. He is. And I would put my boy Westbrook in there. We got to get him on again. We haven't had him on in a while.
Yeah, he's tough to get on Westbrook. But
he is, man. He is.
All right, look at Rashton. Xander's rushing through these super chats faster than Jalen does film study.
Well, he's got a lot of.
I got a lot of shit to do. I gotta be somewhere tonight. Once the show ends, I gotta roll out of this joint.
I can only imagine what for. I can only imagine. Yes, you priest. Yes, Father. Yes,
no,
Father.
Not that.
Hey, so like, are you gonna get on a knee and do anything, or are you just like, you know?
I mean, get on a knee. What do you?
I don't know. Me, after I got married, I went to the bar and sat in the corner. I didn't move. No way. Do you know how many people were mad at me? I sat in the corner at Polici's. I just sat there at this Polici's, and I just sat there in the corner. You know what I was watching? I was watching the Cowboys and the Giants. And Emmett went for 158 and 25 carries. Everyone's in there going, what are you doing? I'm going, like, yeah.
I'm with mine. Mine says I don't have any quarterbacks on my Mount Rushmore unless we go Norm Van Brockman. But I'm with you. And mine, I can't put him on there. He was what, the 40s, the 50s? I mean, what
all right, Big Z. I know you're busy, Junior.
I mean, holy shit, guy. Can you wrap it up here?
Let's go, man. I appreciate you. All right, dude. Got you, man. He's got a lot of work to do, man. He does, man. Let's see here. Yeah, he ain't on that damn list. Greatest Eagle to ever do it. A.J. Brown. How you doing? The most instrumental player in the last 4 years. Sue. The most instrumental player in the last 4 years during this great run has been A.J. Brown. When you brought that guy in, your fortunes changed. We shall see now that he's gone. What do you do? Do you revert back to 9-8? An 8-9 football team? Or do you move forward and become a better football team? Hey, Twiz. He's a Patriot. Time to move on. All right. So, Twiz. Let's see here. I want to double check. Eagles. Let's see here. Eagles. year to year. Let's go down this list here. And so let me see here. 1, 2, 3, 4. Look at that. Holy cow. So 14-3 when he showed up. 11-6. 25-9. Then another 14-3 year. 14-3. 39 and 39. Yep. And let's go one more. 11-6. 50-18. Next 4 years, you think your Philadelphia Eagles are going to have a 50-18 or better record? Mount Rushmore, Dawkins, Reggie, McNabb, Randall. Not a bad crew. Sills loves talking about A.J. Brown. So did your reporters today. Sills, how many times you run over a dead body to make sure it's dead, my guy? The same many times that your reporters today were asking questions on A.J. Brown. I don't think people realize Jalen Hurts is by far the most winningest quarterback in Eagle history the last 4 years. And still young enough to win more. Can't wait to see it. Let's see here. Nick and Jalen are still here. AJ didn't throw the ball or hand the ball off. No, when they were here the first year, they were 9-8. Humble, Eagles. Thank y'all. No Super Bowl. If Bednarik is not on your Mount Rushmore, you're not a real fan. Of course, Bednarik's got to be on that list. It's the greatest Eagle of all time. Him and Reggie. Not real close. I know all these reporters won't even speak about AJ because he's a bum, and I'll prove to be a bum and crying why maybe when he's on the Patriots. Just saying. I'll say this, Kim. The questions, I was shocked today that all the questions to Nick was about AJ. Every single question. Only problem is, Kim, they asked the questions too late. So let me guess. The Patriots are going to be better and go undefeated now that they have A.J. Brown. Oh, they're going to be better. Undefeated? Yeah. That's what we said. Oh, my God. These Cowboys and 49ers were so butthurt when we won. It's June. What are you expecting people to talk about? What you guys asked to... Dude, every single reporter today asked Nick Sirianni 10 questions or 14 questions, I think it was, about Brown today. I'm commenting on what went on at the presser today. Holy shit. Don't get butthurt, guy. Sills, McCoy became our all-time leading rusher, less games than Montgomery. I think he slept on. He's a great football player. If anything, I have more confidence in Jalen. Dude, it's going to put a chip on his shoulder and try to prove himself. I at least have respect for that. Well, you're hoping for that, Kim. Hey, just because you put that chip on your shoulder, that doesn't mean you're not a lesser team. You're a lesser football team. So let me get this Sills logic straight. A.J. Brown is going to help the Patriots have a better 4-year stretch Who said that? I never once at all ever made that comment. I asked you a question. Do you think Devontae Smith and Jalen Hurts are going to have a better 4 years than what AJ had when he was here? Guy, who said I said the Patriots are going to have a better 4 years? As a matter of fact, Guy, the Patriots have a better 30 years than you. With or without AJ. The Patriots for 30 years have been better than the Eagles. There's no debating it. 30 years. You're saying AJ gave the Eagles all those wins. No, I'm saying AJ was responsible for the success that you had in what they did here. And that it was probably something like the Cowboys did when you had Emmett and you had Michael Irvin and you had Aikman. All three of those guys contributed to the great success of that 5-year run that the Cowboys had. Why are you trying to read into something that we're not saying? You're making this shit up in your feeble little stupid brain. I mean, as if the Jets ever had a good coaching staff and developed quality O-line in the last 10 years. Paul, ask yourself this. There's only one coach that coached for more than 1 year since 1960 that has had a winning record with the Jets. Do you know who that is? You give AJ credit for wins and discredit Nick and Jalen for wins. And I'm the stupid one. I never said that he was completely responsible for all the wins. I said when he showed up here, you started winning. Prior to that, when Nick and Jalen were here, you were 9-8. Is that wrong? So good afternoon. AJ was the Moses Malone on the team, and we saw what happened to the Sixers once he was off the team, and we were depending on a guy who never called plays before. Parcells had one winning season. Parcells had one winning season. As a New York Jets head coach, Bill Parcells is the only coach in Jets history, okay, that has a winning record as a member of the New York Jets as head coach. He's the only coach. Al Groh coached 1 year, and Parcells, as the head coach of the Jets, went 9-7, 12-4, and 8-8. He's 19. He's 29-19. Parcells is the only coach in Jets history that has a winning record. And 2 of the 3 years, he had a winning record. The other year, he was 500 when he was 8-8. He never had a losing record as a member of the New York Jets. What are you talking about, guy? 16-15? What the hell are you looking at? Parcells was 29-19 with the New York Jets. Had a 600 win percentage. Any coach who gets to an AFC championship game with Mark Sanchez as their quarterback deserves a jacket. I think that was Rex Ryan, actually. What was Rex Ryan's record with the New York Jets? Rex actually got to 2 AFC championship games. Bill Parcells coached 1 year with the Jets. Really? Like, when was that? Let's see here. 9-7, 11-5, 8-8, 6-10, 8-8, 4-12. Yeah, he was 46-50. 4-2 in the playoffs, though. He was 4-2 in the playoffs. Parcells built a lot of that early Pats team. Actually, Twiz, if you go back and look, I think it was Pete Carroll that built a lot of that football team. I think it was Pete Carroll that brought in a lot of those dudes. There were still some Parcells guys left over. There were. But if you look at what he did in New England, okay, he went 10-6, 9-7, 8-8. And so I think a lot of that in what he left, because Bill took over in 2000, and there were a lot of players on that team that Pete Carroll brought in. Carroll brought a lot of dudes into that football team in New England. Teddy Bruschi. I think Vinatieri was brought in by Scott Pioli and Parcells. When Vinatieri, because Vinatieri came from the Giants, and they brought his ass over there. I don't care if you throw for 4K. Did you manage your drives to score, win, or was you just passing the ball, getting yards that turned ball over and trying to get to 300 yards? I don't know. You should ask your new football offensive mentality and all the new weapons you're bringing in and things you're trying to change. Parcells took the Patriots to the Super Bowl and the Jets to an AFC championship game with Keyshawn Johnson. Yeah. The only thing that he really didn't do a good job as, I thought, with the Dolphins when he was the president of operations down there, and I think he just took that job, Texas boy, because he just was going through a divorce and he had to split his money up. And Stephen Ross gave him a big-time gig with a big paycheck. And I think that's why he took that president of operations job with the Miami Dolphins, because he needed the money after his divorce. So he never really was all in. Eagles needed to get younger at wide receiver group. Hollywood Brown is a one-year Band-Aid. Elijah Moore probably doesn't make the 53-man roster. Goddard is getting older, has 1 to 2 years left. I don't think that's wrong, man. Seals, Bill Parcells' right-hand man was Mickey Cochran, was an amazing mentor for him. His A Football Life episode was a great watch. Yes, he was. Been with him a long time. And if you want to, hey, Jimbo, you want to hear this? I'll give you a little insight on Bill Parcells. Remember something. Bill Parcells never hired. He never hired Bill Belichick in New York. He never hired him. That was Ray Perkins. Ray Perkins hired Bill Parcells, I believe from the Air Force Academy, and brought him in and said, I want you to meet this guy. I think he was an assistant coach either in Denver or Baltimore. I think it was Denver. I think he was the linebacker coach. And Parcells didn't even really know. He didn't know Bill Belichick. And so when Ray got that job, Ray's the one that put that coaching staff together. Ray's the one that actually drafted Phil Simms. Ray drafted Lawrence Taylor. Ray was the guy who put a lot of players on that football team and that coaching staff. The Al Groves, the Romeo Cornells, all those dudes that were on that coaching staff that Parcells took over, the Ray Handleys and all that. That was all Ray Perkins. Ray built that. Ray built that entire coaching staff, and Parcells took credit for it. You know, I mean, Bill elevated the Giants. He surely did. But he didn't hire Belichick. And everyone's like, well, you know, no. Ray Perkins hired him. Ray was the guy that hired Belichick. Let's see here. What happened in Dallas with Parcells? Why did it end? I'll tell you exactly why. So when Bill got that job and Jerry wanted to be more with the personnel. Remember the famous line that Parcells had in New England? Remember what he said? They want you to go, they want you to do all these great things, but they won't let you go to the shopping and they won't let you go to the grocery store to go shopping for what you need. They want to give it to you. Remember, that was the big deal with Bob Kraft. Parcells didn't have like a lot of autonomy when it came to the personnel decisions. And that's how Belichick got that New England job, or he would have stayed with the Jets. And it was known that Bill said, I am not taking that Patriots job unless I could bring Scott Pioli in. Who's, by the way, does anybody know who Scott Pioli is? That's Bill Parcells' nephew. And that's his nephew. So he became the general manager of the Patriots with Belichick in the first couple years there. So Belichick's presence was still being felt there because of Scott Pioli. But that's why he got that job. And in Dallas, Jerry came in and said, I'm in control of personnel. And Bill was like this, no, you can't be. And to Jerry's fault, DFW, if you're in here, here's Jerry's biggest problem. Jerry believes that he is a talent evaluator guy. There's been really good players that they've brought on the team, but you know what happens? Jerry falls in love with his guys. You know what Howie does? Howie falls in like with his guys. Howie's not afraid to move anybody. Look at AJ. That's the mark of a great GM. You move them when they got gas in the tank, not when they're out of gas, and you're not going to get anything in return for them. And that's what the Belichick Patriots did. Richard Seymour's, Stephon Gilmore, all the dudes that they ever moved, Randy Moss, Darrelle Revis, they didn't give a shit. They were not going to upset the salary cap. They were not going to do that. Hey, so should Howie take a look at Joey Bosa? Too injury prone, dude. I think the gamble, even at $4 million with that guy, would be a gamble. I'll always be a huge Parcells girl, just like I'm a Bill Walsh girl. Walsh said always be drafting a quarterback. And Parcells, the reps and starts. I'll tell you something, Kim. He had a rule. If you look at Bill Parcells' draft, he never drafted a running back. Third round or higher. Any day he was the head coach anywhere. He had a rule that he would never draft a running back in rounds 1 or 2 or 3. Remember something. The kid they got from Pitt, Martin, what round was Martin taken? Went on to a Hall of Fame career. What round did Bill take him, Curtis Martin? What round did they take him? And Bill took him. What round did they take him? Because he got hurt. He's the highest draft choice. It took him in the 3rd round, Curtis Martin. Because if you remember, he got hurt in his senior year at Pitt. And he was going to be a first-round guy. Parcells took him in the 3rd round. That's the highest running back like he's ever taken. Was Curtis Martin. I mean, look at the guys. He had Joe Morse with the Giants. He had O.J. Anderson. He really never had like a first-round draft choice running back at any time. Did you ever hear about John Randall in college? He played during your time, but for smaller schools. Yeah, he went to, I think, something like Texas A&I. By the way, you want to hear something psycho? I played with his brother, Irv Randall, with the Bucks. They got a tryout for him for John Randall, and the Bucks didn't like him, and they ended up drafting Warren Sapp like the same year. Can you imagine? The Buccaneers could have had John Randall and Warren Sapp playing defensive tackle with that Bucks defense. He signs an unrestricted free agent contract with Minnesota, and the rest is history. The Bucks gave him a tryout. They gave him a tryout, and he never impressed them, and they let him go, and he signs an unrestricted free agent deal with Minnesota and puts a Hall of Fame career together. Jerry was still trying to prove he could build a team without Parcells back then. He let his ego get in the way with Parcells. Jerry takes more of a collective decision on draft picks now, and I think you can see the results of that. DFW, he's always chased the shadow of Jimmy Johnson. Jimmy built that team. Every single decision that Jimmy made for that Cowboy dynasty was made by Jimmy. That Netflix thing that you see, like with the Charles Haley, that stuff is so made up. I know the story. I was there when Charles Haley was being traded. This is a true story. I've told some of you this. He urinated, okay? He urinated on George Seifert's on his car. Okay? And George Seifert wanted him out of there. He wanted him out of there. Okay? And the only place that he ended up going and him ended up going to was they called the Cowboys because they were terrible. Okay? And nobody wanted him. So Jimmy gets on the horn with the 49ers, and he ends up going there, and he was the guy that ended up going there, and make no mistake about it, it was Jimmy who made the call and said, I'll take him. He told Charles Haley, you come here, you don't want to practice? That's fine. You better give me a sack and a half and 10 tackles. Okay? A sack and a half and 10 tackles. No grocery shopping in Dallas. Jerry said, eat this. Yeah, no way. You know, Rasputin, I think you're right. I think that's probably the only guy. I think Hampton was a first rounder. I think he was in the 90 draft. Now, wait a minute. He played for the Giants from 90. He won a Super Bowl ring and was selected to 2 Pro Bowls. Okay. He was selected. When did Bill Parcells resign? When did Bill Parcells resign from the Giants? When did Parcells resign from the Giants? May of 91. You're right. I'd forgotten about Rodney Hampton. You're right. Hampton was in 90. Parcells left April, May after the draft. Because that's right, because Belichick got the job in Cleveland a couple months earlier. Yes. I watched an old documentary on Jerry Landry firing last night, and he had an old interview with Gary Cobb. I forgot Gary played for the Cowboys when you were there. DFW, how about this? I'll tell you the story. And some of you guys in here know that. So, dude, I told you a little bit of it yesterday. How the day planned out. Something was going on because the night before I got a call from Michael Irvin and Jimmy that he was in town. We were going to go to have lunch at this Mexican restaurant. That got canceled. And we were all called to Valley Ranch. And we got called to Valley Ranch. Nobody knew what was going on. We had known that the team had been sold. Bum had sold the team to Jerry. I had met Jerry Jones numerous times because he'd come down and see Jimmy down at Kane's practice. So I knew who Jerry Jones was. So it didn't really dawn on me. But then I started thinking, Jimmy and Jerry were teammates. They're not going to fire Coach Landry. Ed Too Tall Jones. Dude, Ed Too Tall Jones. I got a picture of me laying on the floor during the press conference when Jerry was introduced. And I remember they called us up. They told us to come in. We had lunch. We go into the auditorium at Valley Ranch. We sat there. Coach Landry comes in, and he's in tears. I mean, he's in tears. Like, I thought somebody died. And then Tom Rafferty looked at me and said, they fired him. I'll bet you anything. I said, no fucking way. No fucking way. Randy White's here. Ed Jones is here. Eugene Lockhart's down with us. Emerson Walls, who I love. We're all sitting in this area. Crawford Kerr's sitting next to me. And we're all sitting there, and I'm like, I said, I think he's right. Coach Landry's sobbing. You couldn't hear a pin drop. I said this, oh my God, you will never forget this as long as you live. Tom Landry, 20 years as the head coach, 29 years as the head coach of the Cowboys. It's like Lombardi leaving. I sat there. I'll never forget it. Like it was yesterday. It's one of the few things I totally remember from that time. He goes, it's been a great run. They fired me. Just like that. Deafening. The silence. We all sat there and we were like, holy shit. Danny White's there. Herschel Walker's there. We're all, Michael Irvin. We're all sitting here. There's about 60 of us. He goes, yeah, they want me out of here. Guys, I love all of you. I was like, holy shit. He's there about 10 minutes, shook all our hands, and left. 30 years of football. Just walked out the door. We go back to our lockers. They said, don't leave. Have lunch. Come back. And we come back. Jimmy Johnson's introduced as the head football coach of the Dallas Cowboys. And all the guys start talking to me going, hey, what? I go, this guy doesn't give a shit about anything but winning. He don't care about nothing. This guy doesn't give a shit about nothing but winning. Incredible day. Sills, Elliott Parks, grade. For Hurts today, 14-19, 0 TDs, 0 INTs. Grade D. Third time in 3 practices, open to the media, that the defense has won today. Okay? All right, guys, we so appreciate you very much. Battle Royale tomorrow. Guys, Thank you so much. Please hit the like button on the way out the door. We shall see you tomorrow, 2 to 6, and we'll see you on the flip side.